Moreover, every disciple of the corpse-chasing village has a skill in controlling corpses. This is our strongest trump card. On average, each person in the corpse village had 500 puppets. Even your puppet is a level 10 desolate hunter. Why would we be afraid of them? The village chief's last sentence hit the nail on the head. The level 7 hunter felt as if he had just woken up from a dream. He patted his head. He was indeed frightened by the World Society's mutated desolate beast. For a moment, he was scared silly. He never thought that his puppet would be a level 10 desolate hunter. Speaking of which, the level 8 mutated dire beast summoned by the World Society's leader was very strange. When the desolate hunters below level 5 saw it, they didn't even dare to escape. They just prostrated themselves on the ground and waited for their deaths. Even though he had escaped back, his mind still felt a little dizzy. It seemed that when he saw the level 8 mutated dire beast in the future, he had to kill it immediately. Thinking of this, the level 7 desolate hunter finally regained his confidence. He even laughed dryly a few times. Ha 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 ha. Look at me, I'm so old that I've forgotten about my puppet. I'm old, I'm useless. However, if the World Society really dares to attack, my level 10 desolate hunter puppet is not to be trifled with. Also, village chief, quickly send people to activate the Great Village Protection Array. At the same time, transfer all the other higher-ups and all the mechas over. It's been a long time since our corpse-chasing village went all out. I'm afraid the world has already forgotten how terrifying our corpse-chasing village is. Seeing this, the surprise and fear on everyone's faces disappeared. What replaced it was confidence. The village chief nodded. Yes, ancestor. I'll do it right away. The level 7 desolate hunter said, right, awaken the remaining 72 puppets. Hearing this, the village chief's expression changed slightly. 72 earth puppets? The rest of the people's expressions also changed slightly. The 72 earth puppets were all level 7 desolate hunters of the corpse-chasing village when they were alive. When they were about to die, they willingly sacrificed themselves and let the village's experts kill them. Then, they were refined into puppets using a secret technique. This kind of refinement was different from ordinary refinement of puppets. Instead, they used an extremely secretive secret technique of the corpse-chasing village, which consumed a large amount of crystal sources and a large amount of energy to successfully refine them. After the refinement was successful, the realms of these 72 puppets were actually increased. All of them were level 10 desolate hunters. These were the 72 earth puppets. Every single village chief had said that these 72 earthly baleful puppets must not be touched unless it was absolutely necessary. This was because the 72 earth puppets were indeed powerful, but every time they were used, they would consume a large amount of energy. After using them, they would need to spend at least a few decades to recharge to their peak state. Previously, no one had suggested using the 72 earth puppets. Now, this level 7 desolate hunter had actually suggested it. It seemed that he was still worried. But this was also good. If they used the 72 earth puppets, they would definitely be able to take down the world society in one fell swoop. Moreover, the corpse-chasing village could also borrow the power of these 72 earth puppets to become one of the top 100 powers in the 16 prefectures of Serene Cloud. Thinking of this, the village chief nodded. Yes, ancestor. Soon, the 72 earthly baleful puppets were summoned. All the disciples had returned to the village. The village's protective array had also been activated. A faint black energy shield protected the entire corpse-chasing village. At this moment, even a small mosquito could not enter or leave the village, let alone a person. After doing all this, the level 7 desolate hunter said, when the world society comes, to avoid unnecessary losses, all of your disciples will stay in the village's protective array. Let me deal with that gang leader MO of the world society. Speaking of this, a trace of longing appeared on his face. 72 earthly baleful puppets, this old man can't wait to see your power. The gang leader of the world society is a level 8 mutated wild beast. Today, I'll show you the true strength of our corpse-chasing village. Chapter 357. The corpse village had made all the defensive preparations. At the same time, their hidden sentries had been activated and were observing the area within 100 kilometers of the corpse village. They didn't set up these hidden sentries today. They had been in the corpse village for a long time. They had a tradition of setting up hidden sentries within 100 kilometers since 1,000 years ago. However, these hidden sentries were not activated on normal days. Instead, they were doing all kinds of business within this 100 kilometers. Some looked like farmers, some looked like peddlers. Some were even beggars. However, once they were activated, they would immediately join the investigation team. Some would continue to disguise themselves and investigate the situation in the open. Some would hide in hidden places and observe all the movements around them. None of this would be known unless they were the core disciples of the corpse village. Even the ordinary disciples of the corpse village didn't know that these were their own people when they met their own hidden sentries. This was also a very important reason why the corpse village was still standing even though it had experienced many battles in its history. After half a day, Mo Shi killed all the people in the Tian Dao sect who should be killed and took all the things that should be taken. He destroyed the things that he couldn't take away. Then he released the others from the dragon's cave. They were all led by Emma. Mo Shi said to the little monk, "Make a holographic projection flag with the words world written on it." The little monk nodded. Soon, a large flag was made on the screen. There were 2 words on it, world. Mo Shi shook his head. He drew it on the ground according to his memory. The words heaven and earth were combined into one word. The word heaven was changed from one side to a vertical side, and the other side to a seal. In this way, the word included both heaven and earth. It looked very cultured, but it didn't lose its dominance. He said, "From today onwards, this will be the symbol of our world society." The little monk looked at the symbol and quickly sketched a pattern on the computer. A moment later, the pattern was completed. Then it was projected into the air through more than 400 mechas. The projection was a huge, fiery red flag that was 1,000 meters tall and more than 300 meters wide. In the center of the flag was a combination of the word world in blood red. The 2 blood red words under the heavens represented a bloodbath. Whoever dares to provoke me, I will destroy them. If the world provokes me, I will bathe the world in blood. Everyone looked at this huge flag and felt incomparably domineering. The small monk exclaimed, "Oh my God, it seems like you've been thinking about this symbol for a long time." Mo Shi didn't want to waste time with him. "Next, you will go and massacre all the businesses in Corpse Village." Emma asked, "Boss, what about you?" Mo Shi raised his head and looked towards the northwest. "Let's go to Corpse Village." Emma's heart trembled as she said, "Boss, although you are very strong, the Corpse Village is too dangerous. If you really want to go, I'll go with you." Mo Shi shook his head. "Do your job well." Emma could only lower her head. "Yes." Happy used sign language to speak to Mo Shi. "Brother Mo, what about me?" "Of course you're coming with me." Mo Shi gently smiled. Happy nodded. "Okay." First of all, Mo Shi wouldn't be at ease if Happy wasn't by his side. After all, no matter how dangerous the situation was, he could let her enter the dragon's den to hide. It would be absolutely safe. Second of all, if they couldn't deal with the corpse village, he could only let Happy do it as a last resort. "No matter how many strong people you have, I have a prophet. I'm just asking you, are you scared?" After giving out the orders, the other members of World Society flew towards the nearest business in Corpse Village according to the map. Mo Shi used Dragon's Shadow Steps to head towards Corpse Village. Soon, he was 300 kilometers away from Corpse Village. He used his dragon's consciousness to investigate. Soon, he found that Corpse Village had already activated the protective light shield. At the same time, Mo Shi also found hundreds of hidden sentries outside Corpse Village. It seemed that the corpse-chasing village was prepared. These hidden sentries were basically the core disciples of Corpse Village. From the memories of these core disciples, Mosher learned that the puppet of the level 7 Desolate Hunter in Corpse Village was actually a level 10 Desolate Hunter. That wasn't all. There were 72 Earth puppets in Corpse Village, and they were all level 10 Desolate Hunters. Mosher shook his head. It seemed that he had underestimated Corpse Village. A force that had been passed down for thousands of years had a terrifyingly deep foundation. In front of such a foundation, even the sea dragon clone's strength was slightly insufficient. However, those puppets were only controlled by humans. If the person controlling the puppets was killed, those puppets would naturally self-destruct. Thinking of this, Mosher's lips curled into a cruel smile. Now, I'll let you have a taste of what ultimate fear is. Thinking of this, he activated Dragon's Shadow Steps. With just 3 steps, he passed through the hidden sentries and arrived in front of the protective light shield. With the 4th step, he teleported into the light shield. Then, he used the concealment and camouflage skill. His entire body's shape and color blended into the surroundings. A few villagers from the zombie village passed by 2 meters away from him, but they didn't notice him at all. Although Corpse Village was called a village, it was actually a large city. The streets in the city were crisscrossed and extended in all directions. All the houses and buildings were made of stone. Mosher covered the entire village with his dragon's thoughts. He carefully examined the entire village several times. He was able to clearly see everyone's strength. Then, he hid. He waited for the arrival of night. 2 hours later, the higher-ups of Corpse Village couldn't wait any longer. Village Chief, that kid should be here by now. Why isn't he here yet? If he doesn't come, our protective light shield's energy will be wasted for nothing. Yeah, although we have the crystal source vein, we can't afford the consumption of the protective formation. There was no expression on the village chief's face. He slowly opened his mouth, and his voice was like sawing wood. Is the vein more important, or is the continuation of Corpse Village more important? When the rest of the people heard this, they all fell silent. The village chief continued, everyone has their own duties. Based on my understanding of that kid, he'll definitely come. When the rest of the people heard this, their hearts trembled. They all replied, yes. However, they waited for half a day. For half a day, Mosher didn't appear. As for the village's light barrier, it consumed an enormous amount of energy crystals. After half a day, the energy crystal sources in their village were almost depleted. The village chief had no choice but to order the people at the crystal source vein to send some back. However, when he contacted them, he frowned. This was because he couldn't contact the people at the crystal source vein at all. Chapter 358. When the village chief tried to contact the crystal source mine, he realized that he could not reach them at all. His heart skipped a beat. The crystal source mine has been attacked. When the others heard this, they all came to a realization. They had been tricked by Mosher. Mosher had purposely killed his way to Tiandao's sect and destroyed the entire sect. This had created a lot of psychological pressure on them, causing them to mistakenly believe that Mosher would definitely kill his way back to the Corpse Village in a short period of time. Therefore, they had placed the focus of their defense within the village. Unexpectedly, Mosher had taken them by surprise and ambushed their crystal source mine. Thinking of this, the village chief hurriedly contacted a dozen other properties. As expected, he had already lost contact with 3 properties. Quick, Great Elder, please immediately send people to support our various properties. The Great Elder nodded. Yes. He received the order and left. The Great Elder quickly left the Corpse Village with more than 100 Desolate Hunters. Among them were the 4 newly promoted level 7 Desolate Hunters. In the entire village, it was as if only the Elder of the Corpse Village was left. Not long after they left, Mosher waited for them to leave. In the dead of night, his dragon will moved. Bang! The head of a hunter who had just fallen asleep suddenly exploded. Blood splattered all over the room. Bang! The head of a patrolling scavenger was also blown up. The street lamp next to him was covered in blood. Bang! The head of a hunter who had just woken up also exploded into a bloody mist. Bang! 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 Muffled sounds continued to ring out in the corpse village. When the higher-ups of the corpse village saw this, their expressions changed. Enemy attack! Enemy attack! Bang! 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 Amidst their screams, the heads of the villagers of the corpse village continued to explode. The village chief of the corpse village quickly came out. When he saw the heads of the surrounding hunters exploding, he instantly realized that this was the work of a psychic master. His voice was as dry as sawing wood as he hollered, "Where are our psychic masters? Fight back!" The 300-odd telekinesis grandmasters of the corpse village quickly launched a counterattack against Imo Shi's dragon consciousness. However, there were only slightly more than 10 level 10 telekinesis grandmasters among the 300 or so. As for Imo Shi's dragon will, it had already reached level 6, far surpassing the standard of a level 10 psychic master. When their telekinesis came into contact with Imo Shi's, it was like a small stream coming into contact with a large river. It was completely out of their control. On the other hand, Imo Shi's dragon will force their telekinesis back into their bodies almost instantly. Furthermore, bang 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 bang, the bodies of these psychic grandmasters were also constantly exploding. At this moment, the level 7 desolate hunter ancestor had also appeared. He wanted to use his perception to detect Imo Shi's existence. However, he wasn't a great psychic master. When his eyes couldn't see Imo Shi, he couldn't detect where Imo Shi was. He stepped on his hoverboard shoes and flew into the sky. His eyes seemed to emit light in the dark night. His eyes stared unblinkingly at the corpse village below. Even so, he couldn't detect Imo Shi's existence at all. After a moment, he frowned and couldn't help but curse out loud. "Kid, come out if you have the guts. Let's fight one-on-one." Imo Shi sneered. "Only a fool would fight one-on-one with you." He continued to hide in the dark, his dragon consciousness constantly launching attacks. As long as his body didn't move, the other party wouldn't be able to detect him. Bang 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 bang, all the psychic grandmasters below level 10 had already exploded into a bloody mist. When the level 10 psychic masters sensed Imo Shi's powerful draconic thoughts, they all yelled out the same words one after another, frightening everyone present. "Psychic. It's psychic emergence. It's over." The corpse village chief's heart thumped when he heard this. Psychic? How was this possible? Weren't psychic grandmasters very rare? How could a psychic grandmaster appear in the world? If they really had psychic grandmasters, wouldn't they have been famous in Yuzhou long ago? Why hadn't they been famous all these years? The level 7 desolate hunter's heart skipped a beat when he heard this. If the other party really had a psychic grandmaster, it was hard to say who would win today's battle. The corpse village chief saw that all the psychic grandmasters were at their wits' end and immediately shouted. "Infrared detection, thermal imaging, supersensitive laser detection. In short, use all the detection methods. I don't believe that we can't find them." "Yes, village chief." The few desolate hunters hurriedly went to prepare. However, more than 10 minutes later, the few desolate hunters walked back. All of them had grave expressions. "Village chief, we've already used all the detection methods, but we still can't find them." When everyone heard this, they all looked as if they had seen a ghost. The other party could attack them at will, and they couldn't even see the other party's hair. Could it be that this kid was really a ghost? At the same time, bang 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 bang, the level 10 psychic grandmasters' heads also exploded into a bloody mist. At this point, all the psychic grandmasters in the corpse village were dead. At the same time, the heads of the desolate hunters kept exploding. Bang 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 bang, the muffled sounds of the heads exploding made everyone's scalp go numb. After pondering for a while, the corpse village chief gathered his chi in his dantian and let out a voice that enveloped the entire village. "All the desolate hunters, run!" In the sky, the level 7 desolate hunter only felt that he had been greatly insulted when he heard this. He was a level 7 desolate hunter, but in his own territory, he couldn't even protect his own villagers. Instead, he had to let his own villagers escape. This was definitely a great humiliation. Come out if you have the guts. Let's have a fair duel. The muscles on his skinny face kept twitching in anger. He roared furiously. However, Mosher didn't care about him at all. He continued to explode the heads of the desolate hunters. Want to escape? You're thinking too much. The faster you run, the faster you'll die. Bang 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 bang. The higher-ups of the corpse village could only watch as the villagers' heads exploded one by one, but they couldn't do anything. A sense of helplessness rose in their hearts. In the end, under their witness, the heads of all the desolate hunters in the corpse village exploded. The entire corpse village was instantly filled with the thick smell of blood. One had to know that there were more than 50,000 desolate hunters in the corpse village. When Mosher's dragons were swept over, these 50,000 people all exploded into a bloody mist. It was obvious how powerful and terrifying the dragon's will was after it reached level 6. At this moment, there were only about 20 desolate hunters left in the entire corpse village. Even if the desolate hunters who had just been sent out and rushed back were included, there were only about 100 people left. These 100 people were in this huge and deathly silent village. A sense of fear suddenly came over them. Chapter 359. The corpse village was 20 kilometers from east to west and 18 kilometers from north to south. However, such a huge city was completely empty at this moment. The empty village was completely shrouded in a bloody mist. Through the bloody mist, one could see headless corpses lying everywhere on the road, in the square, and in the courtyard. This made the entire corpse village look like hell. In this hellish village, there were only 100 or so desolate hunters left. Looking at this hellish scene, the village chief was both frightened and furious. He was frightened because the spiritual psyche master's strength was so terrifying. A mere spiritual psyche master was able to exterminate more than 50,000 people in their village. He was furious because, as the village chief, he could not do anything about the extermination of more than 50,000 people in the corpse village. His face, which had always been as calm as an ancient well, was now filled with rage. World Society's leader Mo, are you trying to exterminate our corpse village? In his anger, he roared in a voice that sounded like sawing wood. However, there was no movement in the surroundings. World Society leader Mo, if you are really someone, come out and fight me one-on-one. Let's fight to determine the winner. The village head of the corpse village continued to roar. However, there was still no movement in the surroundings. World Society leader Mo, could it be that you, the dignified World Society leader and the champion of the martial arts competition, only know how to hide behind people's backs? The village chief continued to provoke him. However, there was still no movement in the surroundings. At this moment, Mosher was hiding in a house. He leaned against the wall, and his entire body seemed to have become one with the wall. He listened to the village chief's provocation, clamor, and even insults. Mosher was not moved at all. The other party had a level 7 desolate hunter and 72 earth puppets. The other party's clamor was only to force him to come out. As long as he showed himself, Mosher was sure that they would not fight him one-on-one. Instead, they would shamelessly surround him. Of course, if it were Mosher, he would do the same. Therefore, he would not fall for such a trick. He focused most of his attention on the level 7 desolate hunter in the sky. Only a level 7 desolate hunter could control the 72 Hellfiend puppets. Therefore, he had to take advantage of the fact that the level 7 desolate hunter was unprepared and kill him. However, the level 7 desolate hunter was already on high alert. It would not be easy to kill him in a short period of time. Therefore, Mosher had to wait for an opportunity. The village chief yelled for a few minutes, but there was no movement in the surroundings. He looked at the level 7 hunter in the sky. Ancestor? The level 7 desolate hunter in the sky frowned and said, "This brat killed all the hunters of corpse-chasing village. If we don't kill this brat today, how can we face our ancestors? All of you, go from house to house and conduct a carpet search." Yes. All of the 100 or so desolate hunters were filled with righteous indignation. Following the instructions of the village chief of the corpse-chasing village, they went to search every house. Mosher did not care about this at all. He focused all his attention on the level 7 desolate hunter in the sky. He did not believe that the desolate hunter could remain alert all the time. There was always a time when people relaxed. As long as the level 7 desolate hunter relaxed, it would be time for him to attack. In this way, the night passed in the blink of an eye. After a night of searching, the 100 or so desolate hunters did not find anything. On the other hand, the village chief of the corpse-chasing village received a few more reports. Village chief, the crystal source mine in Longxi was attacked, and there were many survivors. The flying skateboard shoe factory in Pingliang was attacked, and only a few people escaped. The Chang'an Palace leisure villa was destroyed, and none of the disciples survived. Hearing these reports, the village chief of the corpse-chasing village was burning with anger. He wanted to send the 100 or so desolate hunters as reinforcements, but the corpse-chasing village was the headquarters of the corpse-chasing village. If this place was destroyed, the 1,000-year foundation of the corpse-chasing village would be destroyed in a day. However, if he did not send reinforcements, the industries of the corpse-chasing village would also be destroyed. At that time, only the 100 or so desolate hunters would be left in the corpse-chasing village. It would probably take another few hundred years for the corpse-chasing village to return to its peak. The next day, after spending another half a day, the 100 or so desolate hunters had thoroughly searched the entire corpse-chasing village. In the end, they did not find anything. "Village chief, that kid seems to have disappeared since last night. He has not appeared at all." "Village chief, could it be that he has already left?" The village chief shook his head. "Impossible. The ancestor is watching from above. If he really left, do you think the ancestor would not notice?" Everyone raised their heads and looked at the ancestor in the sky. All of them were silent. Time passed, and it was the 3rd day. The desolate hunters of the corpse-chasing village once again seriously searched the corpse-chasing village. Still, they did not find anything. Their ancestor had been watching from the sky for 2 days. At this moment, even their patriarch's attention was no longer focused. In these 2 days, the people of the world society, with the 400 or so mechas, were invincible wherever they went. They had already destroyed all the industries of the corpse-chasing village. Mosher asked Emma to bring everyone back to the base. He continued to hide in the corpse-chasing village. At this time, the village chief had already received the news that all the industries of the corpse-chasing village had been destroyed. He sat on the ground weakly. At this time, he was already regretting it. He knew that the reason why the world society was so ruthless was definitely because of the incomplete dragon vein. If he had known this, he would not have taken the incomplete dragon vein for himself 2 months ago out of a moment of greed. But at that time, he did not expect that the world society, which had just squeezed into the top 100 at that time, would grow to such a terrifying extent in just 2 months. To be able to force the corpse-chasing village into such a desperate situation. What was the background of the world society? But at this point, there was no use regretting it. He knew very well that even if he handed over the incomplete dragon vein now, the world society's leader would not let them go. So, the only thing he could do now was to contact the other forces as soon as possible and ask them to support the corpse-chasing village. If all the forces united, no matter how strong the world society was, they would not dare to go against the wishes of the people of the world society. Thinking of this, the village chief immediately ordered the Grand Elder. Immediately send people to the other forces to ask for help. We can promise them that we will give them 1/3 of the industries of the corpse-chasing village. The Grand Elder also knew the seriousness of the matter. He immediately gave the order. More than 10 minutes later, more than 10 desolate hunters left the corpse-chasing village. Although Mosher knew that they were going to ask for help, he did not follow them. Because that old guy in the sky was still watching over them. If he did anything, he was afraid that he would be discovered. Chapter 360. Mo sure didn't stop those who asked for help. He didn't need to stop them. If any faction wanted to help Corpse Village, he could just go back and destroy them. With world society's current strength, even the second-ranked Tiandao sect could be easily destroyed. What else could the other factions say? What Mo sure needed to do now was to calm down and hide. Wait for the level 7 Desolate Hunter in the sky to relax. Half a day later, at the 11th ranked Holy Mother of Lotus sect. All the higher-ups of the Holy Mother of Lotus sect were gathered at Lotus Peak. A branch leader said, a few days ago, Tiandao sect and Corpse Village went to the first hunting island together in an attempt to destroy world society. In the end, they didn't manage to destroy world society, and Tiandao sect was destroyed instead. Although the Corpse Village hasn't been destroyed yet, their various properties have suffered a great blow. It's more than just a heavy blow. According to the latest news, all the disciples below the level of Desolate Hunter in Corpse Village were killed by a spiritual reader in one night. Hiss, hearing the 3 words, psychic trainer, everyone gasped in shock. After all, to all of them, a spiritual reader was a legend. How can there be a spiritual reader in the world? Killing all the Desolate Hunters in Corpse Village in one night? Isn't this spiritual reader's strength too exaggerated? The Holy Mother of the Holy Mother of Lotus sect, Bai Lianhua, frowned. Originally, she wanted to find an opportunity to destroy the so-called world society. She didn't expect world society to have such strength. Even the second-ranked Tiandao sect was easily destroyed by them. Even all the scavenger hunters in the Corpse Village had been killed. She couldn't help but feel a little scared. Fortunately, when Tiandao sect of Corpse Village went to destroy world society, the Holy Mother of Lotus sect didn't follow. Otherwise, the Holy Mother of Lotus sect would have been destroyed long ago. At the same time, she was secretly surprised. World society had only risen for 2 months, and their strength was already enough to contend with the first-ranked Corpse Village. No, it wasn't a contest. It was a complete suppression. What was going on? After a while, Bai Lianhua ordered everyone, all the disciples of the Holy Mother of Lotus sect must avoid world society's disciples in the future. Those who disobey will be killed. When the crowd heard this, they were all horrified. One of the branch leaders asked doubtfully, Sect Master, the World Society's Sect Master killed our Holy Mother, the White Lotus School's Holy Maiden, in front of everyone at the Martial Assembly. Not only are you not going to pursue this matter, but you are also telling us, the Holy Mother's School of White Lotus, to give way to the World Society's disciples. This is too depressing. Another sect leader said, Holy Mother, we suspect that the previous Saintess candidate was killed by the World Society. If we still have to avoid them when we see them now, I'm afraid our disciples will be bitterly disappointed. Holy Mother Bai Lianhua glared at the 2 sub-leaders. It's better to be disappointed than to lose your life. Where there's life, there's hope. As the saying goes, the peak of prosperity is bound to decline. No matter how strong the world is, there will be a day of decline. When they decline, it will be the day of our revenge. Just as he said this, a disciple suddenly came to report. Holy Mother, a disciple of the Corpse Village wishes to see you. The Holy Mother frowned, then said, That's right. Let him in. Soon, a disciple of the Corpse Village, who looked like a dead tree, walked in quickly. When the upper echelons of the Holy Mother Lotus cult saw this person, they all nodded their heads in greeting. He welcomed him. The disciple of the Corpse Village didn't have time to say any pleasantries and directly said to the Holy Mother Bai Lianhua, Holy Mother, ever since the World Society won first place in the martial arts competition, they have become more and more arrogant. A few days ago, they destroyed the Tiandao sect, and now they want to destroy our Corpse Village. Our village chief thinks that the World Society is too powerful for one sect to deal with. So he suggested that we all join forces to have the strength to fight against the World Society. Everyone looked at each other when they heard this. No matter how strong the Corpse Village was in the past, any sect would welcome them with a smile. The disciples of the corpse-chasing village were all arrogant as well. But today, they were so down and out. It was really surprising. Hearing this, the Holy Mother by Lian Hua couldn't help but sigh. She said, "The world society is so arrogant that they have already killed their way to the corpse village?" "Yes, Holy Mother, please send people to rescue the corpse village. Our village chief said that we can give a part of the corpse village's property to the Holy Mother by Lian sect." Hearing this, everyone was stunned again. The property was very important for the development of every sect. Now that the corpse village was willing to give up a part of their property, it was clear that they were indeed in danger. This was indeed very tempting to her. However, after a while, she said, "It doesn't matter if it's property or not. Our Holy Mother by Lian sect has always taken pleasure in helping others. If we can help everyone in the world, it will be our greatest joy." Hearing this, the disciple of the corpse village said gratefully, "Thank you, Holy Mother. Everyone in the corpse village will be grateful to you." However, the Holy Mother waved her hand and said, "It's just that our Holy Mother by Lian sect is in need of people now, so we really can't send anyone. I'm really sorry. How about this, if you need money or anything else, I can help you. What do you think?" Hearing this, the disciple of the corpse village felt a chill in his heart. When the tree fell, the monkeys would scatter. Back then, before the corpse village suffered a great disaster, all the other factions wanted to curry favor with them. Now that the corpse village suffered such a great disaster, all these factions changed their faces faster than flipping a book. "Holy Mother, that's not right. 3 years ago, when you were breaking through, you almost went mad. Our village chief saved you, but now that our corpse village is in trouble, you..." The Holy Mother by Lian sect smiled kindly and said, "I will remember your village chief's kindness. However, it's indeed inconvenient for our Holy Mother by Lian sect to help today. Go back and tell your village chief that if anything happens to you, I will definitely bury him properly." Hearing this, the disciple of the corpse village knew that there was no hope. He could only shake his head and sigh helplessly, leaving in grief and anger. At the same time, the disciples of the corpse village who went to ask for help from the other factions basically had the same experience. In the corpse village, the village chief's heart sank again when he received the reports from these disciples. The corpse village used to rule the entire Yuzhou, and everyone responded to their call. Now that they were in danger, no faction came to save them. The world was cold, and people's hearts were cold. However, it was useless to sigh now. They still had to think of a way to destroy the world society. Otherwise, they had to give up the foundation of the corpse village and escape this place. However, no matter which option it was very difficult for the corpse village to achieve it now. Chapter 361. The current corpse village had already become isolated. No faction would come to their rescue. And the remaining desolate hunters of the corpse village were unwilling to give up their foundation. Especially unwilling to give up their dragon vein. Therefore, more than 100 of them were still guarding the corpse village. In the past few days, Mosher did not do anything. He had already entered the dragon's cave. Every day, other than sleeping, he would talk and chat with Happy. Although the dragon's cave was not as colorful as the outside world. But the two of them had more time to spend together. This was a rare leisure time for the two of them. Unknowingly, 10 days had already passed. In these 10 days, the ancestor of the corpse village had not rested for a moment. He had been in the sky, concentrating on investigating the entire corpse village. Finally, after 10 days, he found that there was no more movement. He was sure that Mosher had left. Otherwise, how could there be no movement for 10 days? Phew, he let out a long breath. In the past 10 days, he had not blinked at all. He had not eaten or drunk a mouthful of water. Even though he was a level 7 desolate hunter, his body could not take it anymore. Of course, he did not completely relax. Instead, he called over the other 4 level 7 desolate hunters who had just been promoted and ordered, "The 4 of you, guard the 4 sides of the village. Don't relax for a moment. Based on my senses, the leader of the world's society will not retreat so easily. Yes. The four of them hurriedly replied in unison. So, the ancestor landed on the ground, went to eat and rest. The other four guarded the east, south, west, and north of the village. Mosher observed this scene from the dragon's cave and was secretly delighted. That old man finally could not hold on any longer. However, he still did not go out immediately. What if that old man was pretending to be tired and deliberately luring him out? So that night, Mosher did not do anything. In fact, he was right. Although the ancestor of the corpse village was very tired, he was still alert. However, his vigilance was still very strong and he did not immediately rest. At this moment, he was just pretending to sleep to lure Mosher into the trap. The next morning, he saw that Mosher did not appear. Only then did he feel relieved. Perhaps he was worrying too much. It had been more than 10 days. The World Under Heaven Assembly should have left long ago. Moreover, from the looks of it, their spirit reader could only kill scavenger hunters, but not scavenger hunters. Thus, he called the village chief over and once again reminded him to be on high alert. After that, he ate something and finally fell into a deep sleep. Noon. Mosher finished his lunch. He scanned the area with his draconic will. The ancestor of the corpse-chasing village was already fast asleep. Only then did he quietly come out of the dragon cave. Using the concealment and disguise skill, he arrived outside the courtyard walls of the corpse-chasing village's old ancestor in broad daylight. Then, he moved his mind. The sea dragon clone appeared instantly. Almost as soon as it appeared, it pounced on the patriarch of the corpse village. Boom! He directly crashed through the courtyard wall. Boom! He crashed through the wall of the house. The elder of the corpse village was sleeping soundly. Suddenly, he felt an extremely terrifying feeling coming from all over his body. He rolled off the bed. At the same time, his right hand had already drawn a semicircle in the air. He wanted to summon the 72 earth puppets. However, it was already too late. He had just drawn a semicircle. Crack. His right hand was directly bitten off. Fresh blood spurted out, spraying the wall beside him into a blood-red color. The corpse-chasing village's old ancestor was extremely terrified. However, he knew that he could not escape at this moment. In front of this level 8 mutated desolate beast, where could he escape to? The only way to survive was to summon the 72 earth puppets as soon as possible. He condensed energy in his left hand again. Then, he continued to draw that semicircle. At the same time, he shouted, "The four of you, come over and help." This voice was like a thunderclap that resounded throughout the entire corpse-chasing village. The 4 level 7 desolate hunters guarding the 4 directions hurriedly rushed over as fast as they could. However, it was already too late. The sea dragon clone bit again. Crack. It directly bit off the corpse-chasing village's old ancestor's left hand. At this point, the corpse-chasing village's old ancestor could no longer summon the 72 earth puppets. The sea dragon clone bit again and swallowed the corpse-chasing village's old ancestor. It chewed a few times in a row. The corpse-chasing village's old ancestor completely stopped breathing. At this moment, the large semicircle that the corpse-chasing village's old ancestor had drawn in the air slowly dissipated with his death. Seeing this, Mosher secretly heaved a sigh of relief. At this moment, the other level 7 desolate hunters of the corpse-chasing village rushed over. They happened to see the scene of their old ancestor being swallowed. Everyone was shocked. Beast, die. Kill it. It harmed the old ancestor, kill it. However, at this time, without the old ancestor, no one could control the 72 earth puppets. These 4 level 7 desolate hunters had only just been promoted. Their puppets were only level 6 or level 7. How could they be a match for the sea dragon clone? The sea dragon clone's body made a series of cracking sounds. In an extremely short period of time, it reached a length of 800 meters. Longwei was released. All the desolate hunters below level 5 in the corpse-chasing village immediately prostrated themselves on the ground, including their village chief. The level 7 desolate hunters were also panicking. They hurriedly turned around and wanted to escape. First of all, their levels were 1 level lower than the sea dragon clone. Second of all, the long way released by the sea dragon clone made them feel an extreme sense of fear. However, could they escape? The sea dragon clone's huge tail directly smashed towards a level 7 desolate hunter. When the level 7 desolate hunter had just rushed over, he had already summoned his level 7 puppet. He hurriedly controlled the puppet to block above his head. He wanted to block the sea dragon clone's attack. However, bang, the sea dragon clone's huge tail, which was hundreds of meters long, smashed down like the golden cudgel of the great sage. It gave people the feeling that the mountains were collapsing and the earth was splitting. Whether it was the level 7 desolate hunter or his puppet, they were directly smashed into a bloody mess. The sea dragon clone opened its mouth again and swallowed another level 7 desolate hunter and his puppet into its mouth. In just 10 seconds, the sea dragon clone finished off the 4 level 7 desolate hunters and their puppets. When everyone in the corpse-chasing village saw this, their expressions changed drastically. The old ancestor was dead. All the level 7 desolate hunters were also dead. It seemed that only death was left for them. The level 5 and level 6 desolate hunters were better off. They still knew to turn around and run. The desolate hunters below level 5 seemed to have forgotten how to escape under the long way of the sea dragon clone. One by one, they prostrated themselves on the ground. Not to mention resisting, they didn't even dare to look at the sea dragon clone. Chapter 362. The sea dragon clone killed all the level 7 desolate hunters in the village, scaring all the level 6 desolate hunters so much that their faces turned ashen. They turned around and fled. However, before they could escape, they were devoured by the sea dragon clone one by one. As for the remaining desolate hunters, they didn't even have the thought of escaping. Mo sure came out of the dragon cave at this time. He looked at the village chief of the corpse village. Last time at the martial arts tournament, he was high and mighty with an expressionless face, as if everyone owed him money. But now, he was prostrating on the ground, not daring to move. It was as if he owed a lone shark and was being chased. Mo sure was too lazy to talk nonsense with him. He asked coldly, "Where is the dragon vein?" The village chief of the corpse village replied with trepidation, "The dragon vein is in the forbidden area of the village. I'll go get it now." With that, he carefully got up and walked toward the tower in the middle of the village. With the sea dragon clone next to him, Mo sure wasn't worried that he would play any tricks. A moment later, the village chief of the corpse village took out an object. The shape of this object looked like a segment of the spine of something. And it was incomplete. However, unlike the spine, it was translucent and translucent, as if it was carved out of crystal. It was like a work of art. Mo sure took the incomplete dragon vein, secretly looking forward to it. Mending the incomplete dragon vein would allow it to play its greatest role. However, things like dragon veins were extremely rare to begin with. It was already a great fortune to be able to get an incomplete dragon vein. It was easier said than done to mend the incomplete dragon vein. But for Mo sure, it wasn't impossible. He first used his mind to order the sea dragon clone. Kill them all. Leave no one alive. Everyone present trembled violently when they heard this. However, under the long way of the sea dragon clone, no one dared to resist. The sea dragon doppelganger did as Mo sure said and killed everyone. Mo sure first used his dragon's will to investigate. Soon, he found many useful things in the corpse village. For example, cash and all kinds of rare metals that could be used to build mechas. He put all these things into his personal storage. Even though his personal storage wasn't small, it couldn't fit all of them. It seemed that he would have to continue upgrading his personal storage. After doing this, Mo sure said in his mind, "Don't worry. System, check in for a special event." The system's voice quickly sounded frowny face sign-in successful. Sign-in event, annihilate corpse village, obtain incomplete dragon vein, sign-in reward, 72 earth baleful puppets, 1 incomplete dragon vein. Mo sure was overjoyed when he saw the 2 rewards. The 72 earth fiend puppets all had to have the strength of a level 10 desolate hunter. If this were to be released, how terrible would that be? Then, he looked at the incomplete dragon vein in his backpack. This incomplete dragon vein was also transparent, as if it was carved out of crystal. Moreover, the shape of this incomplete dragon vein matched the one he had obtained previously. Mo sure took out the incomplete dragon vein from before. He connected the gaps of the 2 incomplete dragon veins. There was not the slightest bit of difference. In the next moment, energy seemed to be overflowing from the 2 incomplete dragon veins. This energy intertwined at the gap, emitting a golden light. This golden light wasn't too bright at first. But after a moment, it became so dazzling. Even with Mo sure's eyesight, he couldn't see what was happening clearly. It was as if the entire corpse village was enveloped by this golden light. This golden light lasted for a full 2 minutes. It wasn't until 2 minutes later that the golden light slowly disappeared. It was only at this moment that Mo sure finally realized what was going on. He saw that the 2 incomplete dragon veins had actually merged into one. They had become a complete dragon vein. The entire dragon vein was shaped like a 1-foot-long spine. However, this spine was completely transparent. One could see that the energy contained in it was flowing like liquid. She made people want to hold her in their hands just by looking at her. Once they held it in their hands, they couldn't bear to let it go. Mo sure's heart skipped a beat. This thing seemed to have some kind of bewitching power. Once it was in their hands, they wanted to keep it forever. As for the previous legend that one could obtain an enormous amount of energy after obtaining it, Mo sure didn't notice it at all. Could it be that the previous legend was false? After all, Mo sure's dragon mind was strong and his will was firm. Although he couldn't bear to let it go, he found that this thing didn't seem to be as magical as the legend said, so he put it in his backpack. However, he didn't know that this dragon vein would play a crucial role in the future. After putting away the dragon vein, Mo sure used the dragon's shadow step and quickly left the corpse village. When Mo sure returned to Hunting Island No. 1, the news of the corpse village's destruction had spread throughout Yuzhou. In a restaurant. What? The corpse village was destroyed. Is there something wrong with your brain? Be careful, you'll be destroyed by the corpse village's disciples if you spread rumors like this. Yeah, you dare to spread rumors about the corpse village. You must be tired of living. I'll be a fool if I lie to you. Just this morning, I passed by the corpse village, and there was no one there. It was like a ghost village. Really? He's right. I just came from there, and there was no one in the corpse village. It was really destroyed? Who did it? I heard it was the World Society. The World Society? How is that possible? In an instant, the World Society's name spread throughout Yuzhou. In just a few days, they destroyed the Tiandao sect and the corpse village. Just like Han Jiansheng, who froze 16 states with one sword. Every force had ordered their disciples not to provoke the World Society. On the other hand, the forces that had received corpse village's request for help were secretly terrified. Fortunately, they didn't send their disciples to help the corpse village. Otherwise, they would probably end up the same as the World Society. Moreover, even if they didn't help the corpse village, they were still secretly worried. If the World Society really wanted to settle the score, would they, the forces that had dealings with corpse village, be eliminated by the World Society one by one? Even the military of Yuzhou was alarmed. When the military commander of Yuzhou saw the news, he quickly summoned Lu Shuming. He asked, "Is the World Society so powerful?" Lu Shuming had just received the news, and there was surprise in his tone. "I knew they were strong, but I didn't expect them to be so strong." The military commander said, "Then what are you waiting for? Hurry up and summon him to the military." Lu Shuming nodded, "Yes, Commander, I'll do it right away." Chapter 363. Mo Shi left the corpse village and returned to hunting island number 1. Now, he had destroyed the number 1 corpse village in Yuzhou and the number 2 Tiandao sect. The materials collected from these two forces far exceeded the total amount of the base before. There were enough materials to produce mechas. Little Monk immediately ordered people to start producing mechas again. According to Little Monk's calculation, the materials collected this time should be enough to produce more than 1,500 mechas. By then, the base would have 2,000 mechas. This number was probably not much less than that of the Yuzhou military. As for Mo Shi, he was thinking about what to do next. Now that he had the map of the ancient battlefield of dragons, the only thing he needed to do was to raise his strength to that of a desolate hunter. Mo Shi planned to spend some time on hunting island number 8 or hunting island number 9. However, before he had the chance to go, a guest arrived that day. It was none other than the military boss, Lu Shuming. Mo Shi had a good impression of this military boss. He asked people to welcome him in. Lu Shuming looked at the shabby factories around and was quite surprised. The World Society, which destroyed the corpse village and the Tiandao sect, is actually so shabby. Gang leader Mo, you've really opened my eyes. Mo Shi shook his head and said with a smile, I just think it's too troublesome to build a house again. If I can make do with it, I'll make do with it. Lu Shuming nodded. Yes, being thrifty is the traditional virtue of the people of Yuzhou. Then, Lu Shuming looked Mo Shi up and down. Mo Shi was a little embarrassed. He asked, Commander Lu, what's wrong? Lu Shuming smiled. I don't even recognize you. Mo Shi naturally knew what he was referring to. He joked, I'm still the same young man. I haven't changed at all. Lu Shuming shook his head. Back in the martial arts competition, you were just a little guy who tried to defeat other strong people and win the championship. Your world society only has a dozen or so people. It's only been 2 months since we last met, and your world society has already destroyed the 2 behemoths, Corpse Chasing Village and Heavenly Dao Sect. According to the official ranking, your world society is now firmly in the top position in Yuzhou. You, Mo Shi, are already the head of the biggest gang in Yuzhou province. Mo Shi shook his head. Compared to the military of Yuzhou province, it's like Yinghua to the bright moon. Lu Shuming asked, what? Do you want to destroy our Yuzhou military? Mo Shi replied, how would I dare? As long as I'm not annihilated by your Yuzhou army, it's fine. Lu Shuming also joked, if you don't want to be annihilated by our Yuzhou military, it's actually very simple. As long as you join our Yuzhou military, you will be one of us. Mo Shi's attitude was still the same as during the martial arts tournament. I'm used to being free. If I join the military, I'm afraid I'll cause trouble for you. Lu Shuming shrugged. So be it. It's not like I'm forcing you to join. The military commander of Yuzhou province has ordered me to tie you up if you don't join us. So, in order for this old brother to complete his task, little brother, you have to suffer a little and make a trip to the military. How about you meet the commander? Mo Shi thought about it. Although he didn't want to join the military, he didn't want his relationship with the military to be too strained. After all, the military's strength was far from what the current world society could contend against. Moreover, a colossus like the military had taken the initiative to express goodwill. Even if he didn't want to join the military, he still had to give them enough face. After all, Mo Shi didn't want to make enemies all over the world. With this thought, he nodded. Since Commander Lu has personally come, I can only comply. I can't let you tie me up and take me away, right? If that happened, where would I put my face as the leader of the world society? Seeing that Mo Shi had agreed, Lu Shuming was in a good mood. Then pack up. We'll set off as soon as possible. Mo Shi nodded. In truth, there's nothing to pack. I just need to give a few instructions to the others. Half an hour later, Mo Shi sat in a military aircraft and flew toward the Yuzhou military headquarters at a speed of 5,000 meters per second. Mo Shi secretly let out a sigh of relief. He was really afraid that Lu Shuming wanted to visit the base. If Lu Shuming knew that the world society could produce combat mechas, it would probably attract the attention of the military. Yozhou's law stated that private individuals were not allowed to produce mechas. Fortunately, the workshop that produced combat mechas wasn't too conspicuous. Lu Shuming also didn't mention that he wanted to visit their base just now. It seemed that when he returned, he had to find a way to hide the workshop that produced combat mechas. This time, the world society had produced 400 combat mechas at once. This must have attracted the attention of many people. Although the military wanted him to join the world society, if he didn't join, they might investigate the world society in the future. It seemed that he had to get more evolution points as soon as possible. When the system upgraded again, he would see if the virtual dragon palace could be upgraded as well. With the level that Mo Shi had come into contact with, the virtual dragon palace was already slightly lacking in both attack and defense. After more than 5 hours, they had already arrived at the Yuzhou military headquarters. The Yuzhou military headquarters didn't look like the army camp that Mo Shi had imagined. Instead, it looked like some kind of ancient fortress. In addition to the surrounding walls that were 100 meters tall, there were 5 sentry towers that were 1,000 meters tall. Each sentry tower was made of metal. The thickest part of the sentry tower had a diameter of 100 meters. Each sentry tower was like a fortress that was 1,000 meters tall. On each sentry tower, there were hundreds of particle laser cannons. These particle laser cannons were enough to instantly kill a level 5 mutated desolate beast. Inside these sentry towers, there were all kinds of high-tech equipment. There were quantum detectors, microwave converters, wormhole space-splitting devices. Mo Shi looked at all this and sighed in his heart. As expected of the military, they were rich and imposing. When his base could be built like this, it would be awesome. Lu Shuming looked at Mo Shi's expression that was like a country boy entering the city and couldn't help but laugh. How is it? Mo Shi nodded repeatedly. Yes, it's amazing. Then, are you a little bit moved? Do you want to join the military? Mo Shi shrugged. I'm moved, but I'll pass on joining the military. Lu Shuming smiled. It seems that you're not moved enough. While they were talking, the soldiers in the base saw Mo Shi arrive. There was a trace of curiosity in their eyes. This was the leader who destroyed the Tiandao sect and the corpse village. They thought that he was an old man over 50 years old, but they didn't expect him to be so young. Of course, the military was disciplined. They wouldn't talk like ordinary people. They just looked at Mo Shi a few more times. Chapter 364. Mo Shi followed Lu Shuming into the tower. It looked like the interior of some kind of ship. The walls, floor, and various equipment were all sturdy and durable. Lu Shuming led the way while introducing. The military base guards the fortress. Further ahead of the mountain pass is the wild beast forest, which is basically filled with wild beasts below level 5. There are countless of them. The military guards here, so all kinds of facilities naturally have to be sturdy and durable. Mo Shi nodded. Lu Shuming took Mo Shi to the second floor. The second floor was basically filled with leisure and entertainment facilities. The soldiers guarded here all year round. Except for the wild beast forest, they only went out a few times a year. Entertainment facilities were naturally indispensable. Then they went to a reception room on the 3rd floor. Lu Shuming asked Mo Shi to wait here while he reported to the commander. 2 minutes later, Lu Shuming came back again. In front of him was an old man who looked to be in his 70s. Of course, this was only his apparent age. This man was a desolate hunter and could live up to 500 years old. He looked to be in his 70s, but he was probably over 400 years old. However, although he looked a little old, he was in good spirits. Even when he walked, he looked like a professional soldier who had worked for many years. Lu Shuming introduced him to Mo Shi. This is the commander of our Yuzhou military, Commander Qi. Commander Qi smiled and extended his hand to Mo Shi. Welcome, Leader Mo of the World Society. He didn't have the air of a military leader at all. On the contrary, he looked approachable. Mo Shi also smiled and shook hands with him. Commander Chi said to Mo Shi, Leader Mo, what do you think of our military? Mo Shi smiled and said, of course. One word, awesome. Commander Chi smiled and asked, does Leader Mo have any intention of joining our military? Mo Shi shook his head and said, I'm really ashamed that Commander Chi thinks so highly of me. But I've always been used to freedom and can't stand so many restrictions. Please forgive me. Commander Chi laughed and said, there's nothing to forgive. Everyone has their own ambitions. Today, I asked Commander Lu to invite clan leader Mo over because I want to get to know the young and promising clan leader Mo. Lu Shuming thought to himself, Commander, that's not what you said when you sent me there. Commander Chi continued, it's rare for gang leader Mo to come here, so why don't you stay for a few more days? Although the beauty of this place is not unique, it is also rare to see it in other places. Mo Shi nodded. Of course, of course. After that, the few of them exchanged a few more pleasantries. The banquet had already been set up to welcome Mo Shi. Everyone at the banquet toasted each other, and the atmosphere was lively. However, to Mo Shi's surprise, Commander Chi didn't mention anything about him joining the military again. Similarly, no one else mentioned it again. After the banquet, Mo Shi was arranged to rest in a guest room on the 5th floor. On the 4th floor, Commander Chi returned to his study. Lu Shuming used the excuse of sending Commander Chi back and followed him into the study. Commander Chi asked with a smile, are you going to ask me why I didn't mention that again? Lu Shuming nodded. Yes. Commander Chi sat down, made a cup of tea for Lu Shuming and himself, and said, I've seen countless people in my life, and I'm very good at judging people. From the first time I saw Mo Shi, from his eyes, I knew that he wasn't a fish in a pond. Lu Shuming nodded. Yes, his talent is indeed astonishing. Even in the military, it's extremely rare. Commander Chi shook his head and said, talent is one thing, but more importantly, it's his outlook. In my opinion, his eyes never seem to be focused on what's in front of him, but on the entire continent. There are many talented people, but the more talented they are, the easier it is for them to be blinded by the benefits in front of them. Therefore, there are very few people who are talented but can focus on the future and the wider world. He's definitely one of them. If such a person grows up in the future, his future will be limitless. Lu Shuming was also a little surprised. I didn't expect you to think so highly of him. Commander Chi said, I'm just judging people. Lu Shuming said, I originally thought that letting him join the military would be good for his future development, but now it seems that I was short-sighted. Commander Chi said, if such a person can really grow up, his achievements are beyond our imagination. If he joins our military, it will limit his growth. Lu Shuming agreed. That's true. Commander Chi said, so if he doesn't join the military, let him be. But if he needs any help, our military will try our best to provide him with convenience. Lu Shuming nodded. Yes. Commander Chi added, by the way, aren't you going to suppress the bandits in 2 days? If he's willing to go, take him with you. Such a person doesn't lack talent or outlook, only experience. Let him experience more things, and he will grow faster. Lu Shuming nodded again. Yes. After leaving Commander Chi's room, Lu Shuming was still a little surprised. He had thought that Commander Chi valued Mo Shi very much. But Commander Chi valued Mo Shi too much. It didn't seem like the respect an elder would have for a junior. Thinking of this, Lu Shuming seemed to have suddenly thought of something. It turned out that Commander Chi once had a son. He was also extremely talented. Commander Chi valued his son very much. When his son was only 6 years old, he let him enter the military headquarters and train like an ordinary soldier. When Commander Chi's son was 15 years old, the commander was even stricter with him. The training intensity was much higher than that of ordinary soldiers. His son had indeed grown up very quickly. At the age of 20, he had already become one of the best among his peers. Even the geniuses in the military were slightly inferior to the commander's son. However, there was one time when the beast tide attacked, the commander insisted that his son lead the troops to the front line. He wanted him to make contributions at a young age and win glory for himself. In the end, his son sacrificed himself on the front line. This incident dealt a great blow to his memory. Although he had long thought that if he became a soldier, it was very likely that he would die on the front line one day, when this day really came, he almost couldn't bear it. From then on, the commander seemed to have changed into a different person. He was no longer as strict with these soldiers as before. It was probably because of that incident that he was unwilling to force Mo Shi anymore after seeing Mo Shi. In fact, it was just as Lu Shuming thought. Commander Qi had already thought it through. Everyone had their own path, and if they were pushed too hard, it was very likely that it would backfire on them. Chapter 365. In the central sentry tower of the military base. Mo Shi was lying on the bed. There were some doubts in his heart. Apart from asking if he was willing to join the military at the beginning, Commander Qi didn't mention this matter again. It was very strange. However, in line with the principle of not thinking about it if he couldn't figure it out, Mo Shi quickly threw these distracting thoughts out of his mind. Instead, he said in his heart, "System, sign in." It wasn't easy to come to the military base. If he didn't sign in, wouldn't it be too wasteful? Soon, the system's voice came, frowny face, sign in successful. Sign in location, Central Sentry Tower of the Yuzhou Military Headquarters, sign in reward, 1 Sentry Tower. Mo Shi focused his attention on the sentry tower in his backpack. He found that this sentry tower wasn't a virtual sentry tower. It was physical. The entire sentry tower was almost exactly the same as the military sentry tower. There were 100 particle laser cannons on it. There were also various detection devices. Inside the sentry tower, there were various monitoring devices. Mo Shi couldn't help but feel happy. Not to mention other things, just these 100 particle laser cannons were very awesome. In the future, if there were any desolate hunters below level 5 who dared to rashly invade the first hunting island, these 100 particle laser cannons could instantly kill them. There was no need for him to do anything. It seemed that he really made the right choice to come to the military headquarters this time. If he stayed here for a few more days, wouldn't he have to sign in the entire military headquarters? Of course, in this military headquarters, Mo Shi was very careful even when signing in. He just glanced at the military headquarters. There was a Grand Desolate Master in charge. That was an existence that he was far from being able to contend with. And in addition to the Grand Desolate Master, there was also a psychic. It should be known that every psychic could directly affect people's minds. It was either bewitchment, creating illusions, or directly controlling people's minds. In addition, Mo Shi's dragons will also detected that the military had as many as 5,000 mechas. He had thought that if he could build 2,000 mechas, he would be able to compete with the Yuzhou military. But now it seemed that he had underestimated the strength of the Yuzhou military. The next day, Mo Shi had nothing to do, so he wandered around the military. He went to the armory of the Yuzhou military and signed in. Thus, he obtained an armory. Moreover, there were all kinds of the most advanced weapons in the arsenal. There was a particle laser gun, an ultrasonic gun, and a thermobaric cannon. These were the most advanced weapons on the continent. It was simply impossible for an ordinary force to possess these things. Next, Mo Shi signed into the logistics department, the training ground, the holographic simulation combat practice field, and so on. Unfortunately, he could only sign in twice a day. He estimated that he would have to stay in the base for at least a month before he could sign in the entire base. Mo Shi reckoned that if he didn't join the military, they wouldn't let him stay in the base for long. Sure enough, on the 5th day, Lu Shuming came looking for Mo Shi. Mo Shi smiled and asked, "Do you think I ate too much and want to chase me away?" Lu Shuming said, "What are you talking about? You can be considered my little brother now." The base is your home. You can come and go whenever you want. You can stay as long as you want. Mosher said, really? Then I plan to stay here for a month. Lu Shuming said, of course, this is what the commander ordered. Mosher's heart skipped a beat. He didn't expect Commander Qi to think so highly of him. Could it be that there was some conspiracy? But he didn't care. He had to sign in the entire base first. But Lu Shuming said, in recent months, there have been a large number of bandits in our Yuzhou. We have now obtained clues and plan to suppress the bandits tomorrow. Do you want to go and take a look? Hearing this, Mosher thought for a while and nodded. If it's possible, then I'll go and take a look. He naturally had to go and take a look at the military. Early the next morning, the military had finished organizing the troops. There were 1,000 combat mechas and 5,000 soldiers. And these soldiers were basically all level 5 and above. This could be considered a grand occasion. Mosher was a little puzzled when he saw the military mobilizing so many forces. He asked Lu Shuming next to him. Commander Lu, what are bandits? Are they very strong? Although he had occasionally heard of bandits in the past, there were almost no bandits in Yuzhou, so he didn't know much about them. Lu Shuming explained, the so-called bandits are some desperados who have broken the law. They have nowhere to go, so they enter the wilderness together. Gradually, as time passed, their number increased. Then they came out to rob. If they encounter a bigger force, they will escape into the wilderness again. So they are called bandits. Mosher asked, haven't they been wiped out before? How can they be allowed to grow? Lu Shuming said, bandits are very cunning. Once there is any movement, they will escape into the wilderness. They live in the wilderness all year round and are very familiar with the wilderness. They can even use the beast tide to avoid encirclement and suppression. Therefore, the previous encirclement and suppression basically ended in failure. Mosher asked, beast tide? Lu Shuming nodded. Some wild beasts reproduce on a large scale and form a beast tide. The beast tide can range from hundreds of thousands to tens of millions. Wherever they pass, not a single blade of grass grows. Even a level 10 hunter can only hide in front of a beast tide. Hearing this, Mosher's heart skipped a beat. The beast tide in the eyes of others was just evolution points in his eyes. Lu Shuming said, so in the future, if you encounter a beast tide, hide as much as you can. This was a kind advice. Mosher nodded and said, understood. Lu Shuming continued, the scale of the military suppression of bandits this time is the largest in the past 2 years. They are trying to inflict heavy losses on the bandits so that they won't dare to come out and cause trouble in the short term. Mosher asked, why not completely exterminate them, but only inflict heavy losses? Lu Shuming smiled bitterly. You don't know. The bandits are very cunning, and they are not all gathered together. Instead, they are divided into more than 10 groups. If one group is destroyed, the other group will also receive the news and retreat into the wilderness. In the wilderness, not only do they have many hiding places, but they are also very secretive. So it is almost impossible to catch them all in one go. Mosher nodded. Looks like these bandits are really powerful. Speaking up to this point, Lu Shuming looked at Mosher and asked, do you have any good ideas? Mosher shook his head. The military has so many talents, but you can't think of any ideas. What ideas do I have? Furthermore, suppressing bandits is the military's job. I'm just going to watch the fun. Lu Shuming nodded. Yes, you are right. Half a day later, they had already arrived at a city called Nianyang City. The news said that a group of bandits had just robbed Nianyang City and were now celebrating in the city. Chapter 366. According to the news, a group of bandits had just looted Nianyang City and were celebrating in the city. Nianyang City was considered a medium-sized city. It was about the same size as Mosher's base. Lu Shuming had already given the order for everyone to quietly surround the entire city from all sides. All kinds of particle laser guns, energy-gathering guns, and so on were arranged. Once those people wanted to escape, there was basically no way they would die. Mo Shi used his dragon's will to investigate the city. Sure enough, he found that the city was already covered in blood. 1/3 of the people were dead on the streets. Although the remaining 2/3 were not dead, none of them dared to resist. There were about 500 bandits. They were basically level 5 to level 2 or level 3 desolate hunters. However, the leader of the bandits was a level 8 desolate hunter. And it was certain that he had been in battle for a long time and could unleash strength far beyond level 8. He could be regarded as a level 9 or even level 10 desolate hunter. Mo Shi asked Lu Shuming, who was standing next to him, "How strong is the strongest warrior among us?" Lu Shuming smiled and said, "Don't worry. The strongest person we sent this time is a level 8 desolate hunter. He's the strongest person we've ever sent." Mo Shi asked again, "How many level 8 desolate hunters are there?" Lu Shuming replied, 3. Then, he turned to Mo Shi and asked, "What's wrong?" Mo Shi said, "The leader of the bandits here is a level 8 desolate hunter." Lu Shuming frowned slightly and asked, "You can detect it with your psychic power?" Mo Shi said, "Yes. Their strongest person is a level 8 desolate hunter and 3 level 7 desolate hunters. There are 12 level 6 desolate hunters." Lu Shuming frowned slightly. "Is the information wrong?" Then, he said to the keyboard player beside him, "Release the surveillance drones." The keyboard player operated for a while and soon released dozens of surveillance drones. Mo Shi watched the keyboard player's operation carefully. It seemed that he was even more skilled than the little monk. It was obvious that he had worked hard. However, the speed of the surveillance drones was still slower than the little monk's. This was because the little monk had once improved the steps of releasing the drone. Generally, one would need to eject the drone cabin from the mech, open the wings of the drone, and eject a stream of particles before it could truly fly into the air. As for the small monk, he directly simplified the configuration. The drone has no hanger. They were directly attached to the top of the mech. It looked like the exposed spine of the mech. An ejection system was installed on the mech. When in use, all you need to do is press a button to activate the ejection system. It would instantly launch all the drones into the air. The UAV would only turn on its particle thrusters when it was launched into the air. This was much faster than the traditional method of ascending into the air. Thinking of this, Mo Shi could not help but sigh. Talent was really more important than hard work. If one did not have talent, hard work would increase the lower limit, but if the upper limit was already there, hard work would be useless. Very quickly, hundreds of surveillance drones flew into Nanyang City. After a round of probing, Lu Shuming's expression became increasingly unsightly. The results of the probe showed that, just as Mo Shi had said, the strongest among these bandits was a level 8 desolate hunter. It seemed that the information was wrong. However, at this point, the arrow was already knocked on the bow and had to be released. He said to the keyboard player next to him, "Immediately report that the information is wrong." Then, he spoke to all the soldiers through the headset. "The strongest enemy is a level 8 desolate hunter. Everyone, be careful to hide and maintain your distance. Do not be discovered by the level 8 desolate hunter. Wait for our assassination team to move out and assassinate the level 8 desolate hunter. Then, we will move out." When the soldiers heard that the strongest opponent was a level 8 desolate hunter, they all felt a chill in their hearts. They hurriedly stopped moving. Very quickly, an order came from the commander. "Send an assassination team to try and assassinate the level 8 desolate hunter. The reinforcement team is already on the way." "Yes." Lu Shuming responded. He immediately ordered the assassination team to move out. There were 3 people in the assassination team. 1 sniper, 1 observer, and 1 defender. The sniper was responsible for hunting. The observer was responsible for investigating the situation. The defender was responsible for protecting the sniper and observer, and looking for a way out. This was the most typical assassination team in the military. Mo Shi did not intend to make a move. He wanted to understand how the military acted in various situations. This way, if there was a day when the relationship with the Yuzhou military broke down, he would know the enemy as well as himself. Very quickly, the assassination team wore camouflage suits and moved stealthily toward a mountain not far away. This kind of camouflage suit could avoid detection by radar, infrared, and several detection devices. Half an hour later, the assassination team found the location. At a certain moment, the sniper pulled the trigger. Boom! A loud sound was heard. Mo Shi was secretly surprised. One had to know that a level 8 Desolate Hunter's reaction was extremely fast. Even the defense system of his virtual dragon palace could be dodged by a level 2 Desolate Hunter. How could a level 8 Desolate Hunter not be able to dodge a sniper rifle? However, it turned out that he was wrong. In his detection, as soon as the gunshot sounded, the level 8 Desolate Hunter exploded. That's right, the Desolate Hunter's body exploded. It exploded into a cloud of blood mist. Hiss, Mo Shi could not help but gasp. A level 8 Desolate Hunter was so easily killed by a sniper rifle? Moreover, in his detection, the armor-piercing high-explosive bullet did not fly straight ahead. With the speed of the armor-piercing high-explosive bullet, if it flew forward, the level 8 Desolate Hunter would definitely dodge it. In Mo Shi's detection, the armor-piercing high-explosive bullet disappeared instantly after leaving the muzzle. When it reappeared, it had already hit the level 8 Desolate Hunter. Lu Shuming saw Mo Shi's surprised expression and explained with a smile, "This is a wormhole sniper rifle. This is a wormhole sniper rifle. It uses wormhole technology. This sniper rifle has two functions. One is to shoot bullets, and the other is to mark. The sniper uses a micromagnetic field to mark the target's body. Then, the bullet will be shot. The bullet will teleport to the target's body through wormhole technology." Hearing this, Mo Shi was amazed. "I've never heard of such a sniper rifle before." Lu Shuming smiled. "It was just developed not long ago and has not been mass-produced yet. This sniper rifle was only an experimental one. At its strongest, this sniper rifle can instantly kill a level 10 Desolate Hunter." Hearing this, Mo Shi was secretly envious. With such a sniper rifle, why would he be afraid of a level 10 Desolate Hunter? One shot, one kill. Such a sniper rifle must have cost a lot to make, right? Mo Shi asked. Lu Shuming smiled. Of course, such a sniper rifle costs hundreds of millions. Moreover, it's priceless. Currently, there's only one in the entire Yuzhou military. Hearing this, Mo Shi thought to himself. If I were to sign in, would I get such a sniper rifle? Chapter 367. Mo Shi wanted to sign in for the wormhole sniper rifle. However, it was obvious that he couldn't sign in for the sniper rifle just by looking at it. Based on his understanding of the system, he had to at least touch the sniper rifle or even kill the enemy with it. However, the sniper rifle was regarded as a treasure by the military. How could he touch it as he wished? It seemed that he had to wait for an opportunity. At this moment, after the level 8 Desolate Hunter died, Lu Shuming immediately gave the order. "Everyone, shrink the encirclement. If you encounter any bandits, kill them without mercy." Someone next to him asked. "What if the bandits take the civilians as hostages?" Lu Shuming said, "Then we can only let these civilians fend for themselves." The Yuzhou military was not a charity. Mo Shi's heart trembled slightly as he looked at Lu Shuming beside him. Shouldn't the safety of the hostages be the prerequisite? Lu Shuming smiled bitterly and said, "We've had many such examples in the past. For the safety of the hostages, our soldiers either put down their weapons and become live targets for the enemy, or let the enemy escape and harm more civilians. Therefore, our current method is to kill the enemy as the main goal." Everything else is secondary. Mo sure nodded. There was no right or wrong in this kind of matter. Thinking about it from another perspective, if he went to suppress the bandits and encountered a hostage who was taken hostage, would he put down his gun for the hostage and let the bandits kill him, or would he risk the injury of the hostage and destroy the bandits? The answer was self-evident. And there was another advantage to doing this. When the enemy knew that he wouldn't put down his gun for the hostage, they naturally wouldn't support the hostage. This would make the hostage safer. As Mo sure was thinking, the encirclement gradually shrank. Finally, the two sides came into contact. Boom! A wall was blasted through. Boom! A building was directly blasted down. Boom! A huge pit was formed on the ground by the huge force. This Nanyang city was riddled with holes under the battle between the two sides. Lu Shuming looked at the overall situation and strategized from the images captured by the drone in the sky. The other side had lost their strongest level 8 desolate hunter. It seemed that this battle was one-sided. 3 level 8 desolate hunters from the military were floating in midair. They were only focused on one thing, the level 7 hunters on the other side. Once the level 7 hunter tried to escape, they would stop him. At this moment, the level 7 desolate hunters among the bandits realized that they had nowhere to run. The 5 of them looked at each other. Then, the 5 of them each took out a bottle of medicine and consumed it. In just a few breaths' time, the auras of the 5 cultivators skyrocketed. Soon, all 5 of them had the aura of a level 8 desolate hunter. Seeing this, the 3 level 8 desolate hunters from the military felt a chill in their hearts. What the 5 of them had consumed was obviously some kind of forbidden drug. This kind of forbidden medicine could raise the strength of these 5 people by 1 level in a short period of time. Of course, the side effects of this kind of forbidden medicine were extremely great. Some paid the price of shortening their lifespan, and some paid the price of never being able to advance any further in the future. Moreover, the better the effect of the medicine, the greater the side effects. Seeing this, the 3 level 8 desolate hunters from the military quickly reported to Lu Shuming. Hearing this, Lu Shuming hurriedly shouted, "Sniper! Do it!" The sniper had already taken aim at one of them. Bang! A sniper shot rang out. One of them exploded into a cloud of blood mist. When the remaining 4 level 8 desolate hunters from the bandits saw this, their eyes became bloodshot. They avoided the sniper's position while avoiding the 3 level 8 desolate hunters from the military in the sky. However, the 3 level 8 desolate hunters from the military kept blasting the ground with their energy, clearing the obstacles on the ground one by one and creating a field of vision for the sniper. When the 4 level 8 desolate hunters saw this, they gritted their teeth in hatred. Seeing their companions being killed by the military, the 4 of them looked at each other. F***CK, let's fight. F***CK, even if I have to sacrifice 10 years of my life, I will kill these F***ers today. Ah! As the 4 of them roared, they each took out 10 bottles of medicine. Gulp, gulp, gulp. Soon, the aura of the 4 of them soared again. Level 9 error. In the sky, when the 3 level 8 desolate hunters from the military saw this, their expressions changed. Commander, their levels have risen to level 9. When Lu Shuming heard this, he knew this was bad. He hurriedly shouted, "Protect the sniper." Now that the other party had risen to level 9, their first target would definitely be the commander's sniper. Before he finished speaking, the 4 desolate hunters jumped into the sky almost at the same time. They shot 4 thick beams of energy at the sniper's position. When the 3 members of the assassination team saw this, they felt a sense of despair in their hearts. It's over. Among the 3 of them, the strongest was only a level 2 desolate hunter. Even if they were not hit by these 4 beams of energy, just the aftermath alone would be enough to blast them into pieces. Moreover, they did not even have time to use the wormhole teleportation device. No matter how they looked at it, they had no chance of escaping. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in front of them. Boom! At the same time, the 4 beams of energy blasted the figure almost simultaneously. A glaring red and white light suddenly flooded the area within a radius of 1,000 meters. Lu Shuming was originally worried about the sniper when he suddenly felt that there was one less person beside him. The next moment, he saw a figure appear where the sniper was. This person was none other than Mo Shi. Of course, although Lu Shuming was surprised, he was not too worried. After all, he was a big shot in the military. He knew that with Mo Shi's personality, if he was not confident, he would never take such a risk. Therefore, with Mo Shi here, the sniper team could be considered safe. The reality was just as he thought. When the red and white light around them dissipated, they saw that Mo Shi was still standing there. He was unharmed. The 3 members of the assassination team behind him were also unharmed. Apart from Lu Shuming, everyone else was shocked when they saw this scene. Under the combined attack of 4 level 9 desolate hunters, he was actually unharmed. Even the clothes on his body were not damaged at all. In their eyes, this was simply unimaginable. They did not know that the dragon scale Mo Shi had obtained from signing in. It was immune to any kind of attack. Not to mention level 9 desolate hunters. Even if they were level 9 desolate hunters, they would not be able to affect Mo Shi at all. Behind Mo Shi, the 3 members of the assassination team were shocked when they saw this. At the same time, they were also grateful to Mo Shi. "We owe you our lives," the sniper said. Mo Shi thought to himself, now I should be able to sign in for the wormhole sniper rifle. Chapter 368. Mo Shi's main purpose of saving the assassination team was naturally to sign in for the wormhole sniper rifle. Otherwise, why would he waste an opportunity to defend against any attack to save those 3 people? That was what he thought. After he became a desolate hunter, he would go to the ancient dragon battlefield. Those who could go to the ancient dragon battlefield were all above the level of a desolate hunter. If he had a wormhole sniper rifle, he wouldn't be able to easily kill his opponent from a few kilometers away without anyone noticing his location. Of course, now was not the time to sign in. Seeing that Mo Shi had blocked their sure-kill attack, the 4 level 9 desolate hunters turned to Mo Shi. They were shocked at first. However, when they felt Mo Shi's aura and realized that he was only a level 8 hunter, they were all furious. A mere level 8 hunter dared to stop them from killing the sniper. Although this level 8 hunter was very strange, they did not believe that this level 8 hunter could really fight against 4 level 9 desolate hunters. Thinking of this, the 4 of them were so angry that their eyes almost popped out. "Kid, you're courting death. I'll send you on your way." As they spoke, the energy weapons on their right arms once again condensed red light. It was also at this moment that Mo Shi had a thought. The ground of the entire city began to rumble and shake. And the shaking became more and more intense, several times stronger than an earthquake. The houses and buildings in the city collapsed one after another. "Oh no, there's an earthquake. Fly into the air. Retreat from the city." For a moment, whether it was the military or the bandits, they all shouted. At this moment, Kacha, a crack suddenly appeared on the ground. The crack was a kilometer long and more than 50 meters wide. The moment the crack opened, a figure instantly flew out. That figure appeared to be a human. However, he was skinny and had a pale face. He had a head of messy yellow hair. His eyes were sunken, and he was all skin and bones. Behind him was a long chain. Seeing this person appear, everyone was stunned. He came out from the ground. Could it be an almighty senior? Looking at his aura, I'm afraid he's far stronger than a level 8 desolate hunter. It could be a level 10 desolate hunter. Upon seeing this scene, the bandits and level 9 desolate hunters were also astonished. What the hell was this? Other than Mo Shi, there was only one other person who recognized him. Lu Shuming said in surprise, "Earth Fiend Puppet." Not only did he know about the chasing corpse Sect 72 Earth Baleful Puppets, He had even seen them once before. Therefore, he recognized it at a glance. While everyone was still in shock, the earth puppet leaped in front of Mo Shi with a single step. Then, he dragged the chain behind him over. Only then did everyone see that the chain behind him was connected to his neck. It was like a dog on a leash. But no one knew what was going on. How could such a terrifying existence be chained up? Who was the one who tied it up? Now that he was in front of Mo Shi, what did he want? From the looks of it, they didn't come with good intentions. All the bandits were shocked, but at the same time, they were secretly gloating. This terrifying existence seemed to be very unhappy with this kid. This kid was done for. At this moment, a scene that no one had expected occurred. After the terrifying existence that looked like a dead tree put away the chain, he suddenly knelt down on one knee in front of Mo Shi. Then, he lowered his head, held up one end of the chain in his hand with both hands, and handed it to Mo Shi. All the bandits, all the warriors, Lu Shuming, some of the people who were quick-witted instantly thought of a certain scene. What was the meaning of this? A marriage proposal? Mo Shi took the chain calmly. Then, he gently pinched the clasp on the terrifying existence's neck. Click, there was a soft sound. The chain fell to the ground. The terrifying existence immediately nodded gratefully at Mo Shi. Mo Shi stretched out his hand and pointed at the 4 level 9 desolate hunters. He said 3 words, Big Yellow, bite. Upon receiving the order, the terrifying existence immediately turned around. With a leap, it instantly pounced on a level 9 desolate hunter. Seeing this, the level 9 desolate hunter was shocked. From the aura of this terrifying existence when it pounced, he felt that it was actually a level 10 desolate hunter. The level 9 desolate hunter hurriedly turned around and wanted to escape. However, under the pressure of the opponent's aura, the energy in his body couldn't circulate smoothly. His speed of escape suddenly slowed down a lot. He was directly pounced on by Big Yellow. Then, its right hand slashed across his dantian. The sharp nails of its right hand instantly pierced into the level 9 desolate hunter's dantian. No, the level 9 desolate hunter screamed. He immediately fell from the sky. Then, Big Yellow pounced 3 more times. The remaining 4 level 9 desolate hunters were pounced on and fell to the ground. Everyone who saw this scene was a little dumbfounded. 4 level 9 desolate hunters were pounced on one by this skinny guy. They didn't even have a chance to resist. What surprised them the most was that such a terrifying existence actually obeyed the orders of a mere level 8 desolate hunter. It was even ordered by the level 8 desolate hunter like a dog without a trace of complaint. What the hell was going on? Lu Shuming was also quite surprised. Mo Shi actually got his hands on the earth puppet from the corpse village. Moreover, he remembered that the earth puppet could only be controlled by the strongest person in the corpse village. Moreover, the steps to control it were very complicated. If one was not careful during the time of control, it could even cause a backlash to the control system. But looking at Mo Shi, he was completely treating the earth puppet like a dog. What Big Yellow biting? Only he could think of that. How did he do it? Moreover, Lu Shuming thought of a certain possibility. Since Mo Shi could control one earth puppet, did that mean he could control the other 71 earth puppets as well? If that was the case, Mo Shi would have 72 level 10 desolate hunters as his henchmen. One must know that even the Yuzhou military only had 50 level 10 desolate hunters. This brat was really unfathomable. At this time, the earth puppet had killed 4 level 9 desolate hunters in a row, but it didn't seem to be satisfied. Seeing this, Mo Shi smiled faintly and said, "All the level 5 and level 6 desolate hunters are yours." The earth puppet nodded repeatedly. It seemed to be grateful. Then it turned around again and attacked the level 5 and level 6 desolate hunters among the bandits. In just a few minutes, it was back in front of Mo Shi again. At this time, all the level 5 and level 6 desolate hunters among the bandits had become corpses. Mo Shi nodded. Well done. Your work is done. Let's go. The earth puppet nodded again, as if to express its gratitude and respect to Mo Shi. After retreating more than 10 meters, it jumped and dived back into the crevice. Chapter 369. The appearance of the earth puppet shattered everyone's worldview. Such a powerful existence was ordered around like a dog by Mo Shi, a mere level 8 scavenger. What kind of F*king logic was this? Mo Shi patted the rust on the chain on his hand and said to Lu Shuming, "I'm sorry, Commander Lu." Lu Shuming laughed and said, "Brother, you're really something. You can even get the earth puppet?" Mo Shi said with an ashamed look on his face. "Sigh, I'm ashamed. I've made a fool of myself." Everyone was stunned when they heard this. Earth puppet? I've always heard that the earth puppet of the corpse village is very powerful. I didn't expect to be lucky enough to see it today. He even got the earth puppet of the corpse village. He's not simple. Those soldiers came over to congratulate Mo Shi. Although the members of the 3 assassination teams didn't say anything, they remembered Mo Shi's life-saving grace in their hearts. It wasn't until now that Mo Shi had the time to say in his mind, "System, sign in for a special event." The system's voice quickly replied, "Frowny face, sign in successful. Sign in event, protect the military assassination team, sign in reward, 1 wormhole sniper rifle." Mo Shi took a look in his backpack. This sniper rifle looked similar to the one in the hands of the sniper. It was just that there were some improvements in various aspects such as performance. The sniper's sniper rifle was only experimental. Its maximum attack range was only 10 kilometers. However, Mo Shi's sniper rifle had a maximum attack range of 1,000 kilometers. As long as there was a mark on the target, even if the target escaped 999 kilometers away, Mo Shi could use the wormhole technology to instantly make the bullet cross the distance of 999 kilometers and hit the target. However, when he took a closer look at the wormhole sniper rifle, he was a little speechless. "System, where are the bullets?" The system's voice quickly sounded, "Frowny face, bullets need to be obtained by signing in. F*ck. Mo Shi felt like he had been F*ked. There was no point in playing with a gun without bullets. However, bullets should be easier to obtain. As long as he returned to the military base and signed in next to the ammunition depot, he would be able to sign in and come out. At this moment, Lu Shuming was secretly glad that Mo Shi had taken care of the enemy's high-level combatants. Originally, they had brought Mo Shi out to broaden his horizons, but they did not expect that Mo Shi would be the one to broaden their horizons. Fortunately, he had brought Mo Shi with him. Otherwise, he would have suffered heavy losses today. Thinking of this, he quickly contacted the commander. "Sir, there's no need to send reinforcements. Mo Shi has already taken care of the enemy's high-end combat power." Hearing this, Commander Qi was slightly surprised. "Mo Shi?" Lu Shuming nodded. "Yes." Commander Qi was still a little surprised. However, he also knew that it was not convenient for him to say too much at this time. He only nodded and said, "If that's the case, it's time to record Mo Shi's achievement." Lu Shuming nodded. "Yes." When Mo Shi heard this, he did not take it to heart. What he cared about was not whether or not he would be rewarded. What he wanted was the actual benefits. However, the military could not give him too many actual benefits. After all, he had signed in for most of the things that the military could give him in the past month. After Mo Shi had taken care of the enemy's high-end combat power, the rest was simple. The military completely crushed the enemy and ended the battle in just half an hour. Then, it was time to clean up the scene. After cleaning up the scene, the military rested for a while in Nanyang City. During the break, a few soldiers joked. "Old Nyo, didn't you say that you wanted to fight gang leader Mo one-on-one? We're free now." The soldier who spoke made a "please" gesture. The rest of the people cheered. "Old Nyo, go and fight one-on-one. I have high hopes for you. Old Nyo, you were very unconvinced before. Why should a mere hunter be valued so highly by the commander? Now, your chance is here. The soldier called Old Nyo looked ashamed when he heard this. He laughed and scolded, "You guys are sending me to my death. It's my bad luck to have comrades like you guys." Everyone laughed out loud. Old Nyo is scared. Old Nyo, a man who isn't even scared of the division commander and the commander, is actually scared today. This is the first time a girl has been scared. Old Nyo, it's my lifelong wish to see you admit defeat in this lifetime. I didn't expect it to happen so soon. Since Old Nyo had already lost his face, he might as well go all out. He straightened his neck and said, "Yes, he's scared." "Why? Not convinced?" "If you're not convinced, you can also be scared." Everyone laughed again. As they spoke, a group of people from Nanyang City walked over. They all expressed their gratitude to the military. Lu Shuming shook his head and said, "This is what we should do." After the pleasantries, a representative of the people pointed at the huge crack on the ground that was 1,000 meters long and asked, "Commander, that guy won't come out again, right?" As he spoke, he looked at Mo Shi with lingering fear. Lu Shuming didn't know about this either. He turned to look at Mo Shi. Mo Shi nodded. Yes, he won't. Only then did the commoners relax. After resting for 2 hours, the team rushed to the next bandit stronghold. In the next 2 days, the army eliminated 3 more groups of bandits. In total, they killed more than 1,000 bandits. This was already the first time he had killed so many bandits in the history of the battle. When the remaining bandits received the news, they all retreated into the wilderness. This bandit suppression operation could be said to be the most successful in history. However, in Lu Shuming's opinion, it was still not considered a success. In fact, it was a failure. This was because they had mobilized the most people this time. Their goal was to catch all the bandits in one fell swoop. However, they didn't expect these bandits to be so cunning. They immediately retreated into the wilderness at the slightest sign of trouble. After this wave of bandit suppression was over, they would come out again to cause trouble. A division commander beside Lu Shuming asked, "Commander, what should we do now?" Lu Shuming pondered for a moment and said, "Since we came out once, we must think of a way to catch all of them in one fell swoop. However, these bandits have entered the wilderness now. No one is more familiar with the wilderness than they are. If we continue to chase after them, the number of casualties will increase greatly." When the division commander heard this, he said, "Commander, we can actually send Phantom to investigate and figure out the situation in the wilderness. Then, we can decide on a battle plan and catch all of them in one fell swoop." Lu Shuming pondered for a moment again and called a few other higher-ups over. He asked for their opinions. In the end, everyone agreed to the division commander's suggestion. Lu Shuming immediately called Phantom over. Chapter 370. Soon, Ghastly Shadow arrived. Ever since Mo Shi entered the military base, he had been hearing people talking about Ghastly Shadow. Today, he finally saw him in person. In Mo Shi's imagination, Ghastly Shadow should be a thin and small person dressed in black, looking like a ghost. However, to his surprise, Ghastly Shadow was not thin and small. Instead, he was a muscular man who was 1.8 meters tall. His face was full of whiskers. Big and rough, carefree. It formed a strong contrast with his name. According to Lu Shuming, Ghastly Shadow was an extremely special existence. After he became a desolate hunter, he awakened 2 innate skills. This was the only one in history. His 2 innate skills, one was teleportation, the other was invisibility. Every time he teleported, he could teleport more than 50 kilometers away. It was faster than any aircraft. And the trapping skill allowed him to avoid most equipment and psychokinesis detection. Therefore, the military specially recruited him to carry out all kinds of reconnaissance missions. Normally, he lived among the ordinary warriors, and he looked no different from an ordinary warrior. When he was needed, he would transform into a ghastly shadow to carry out all kinds of difficult reconnaissance missions. After receiving the order, Ghastly Shadow chuckled and said, "It's finally my turn." The division commander said seriously, "Ghastly Shadow, this is the army, be serious." Ghastly Shadow chuckled, gave the division commander and Lu Shuming a very casual military salute, and said, "Yes, I promise to complete the mission." He looked at the division commander and Lu Shuming, especially at Mo Shi. There was a hint of provocation in his eyes. Then, he disappeared in an instant. Mo Shi understood what he meant. When Mo Shi saved the 3 assassination team members, he used some kind of teleportation skill. As the saying goes, people of the same trade are enemies. Ghastly Shadow was most proud of his invisibility and teleportation ability. Now that he saw that Mo Shi could teleport, he was naturally dissatisfied. Lu Shuming naturally saw Ghastly Shadow's provocative eyes. After he left, he said to Mo Shi, "Don't bother with him. He's just like that. He doesn't have any bad intentions." Mo Shi didn't care about this. He shrugged and said, "Don't worry, Commander Lu. I'm a gang leader after all. If you don't even have this bit of magnanimity, how can you convince the masses?" His words dispelled the slightly awkward atmosphere from before. In Mo Shi's heart, he did not take that ghost shadow seriously at all. It was like an amateur player challenging a professional player. If a pro player even glanced at you, it would be considered a loss. The group rested in a small city on the edge of the wilderness. 2 days later, Spirit Shadow suddenly appeared in front of everyone. When everyone saw the ghost shadow appear, they were all overjoyed. I'm back. I've heard that the wilderness is huge, covering an area of more than 100,000 square kilometers. Ghost Shadow completed his investigation in just 2 days, which is really surprising. Nonsense, why else would it be called Ghost Shadow? Guiying naturally heard the discussions of the crowd. Naturally, he was very happy in his heart. He reported to Commander Lu. "Commander, I've already scouted all the strongholds of the bandits in the wilderness. I've also drawn all the topographic maps in the wilderness into 3-dimensional maps." As he spoke, he turned on his multifunctional watch. A 3-dimensional map was immediately projected on the multifunctional watch. As expected, the map was very detailed. Not only were all the topographic maps very clear, but the locations of the strongholds, the number of people in the strongholds, and the strength of the strongest person were also clearly marked. Commander Lu nodded. "Well, you've worked hard. Go and rest first." "Hee, okay." Guiying chuckled and turned to leave. However, when he passed by Mo Shi, he once again showed a provocative look. He even raised his chin at Mo Shi. The hearts of the surrounding people tightened slightly as they looked at Mo Shi. However, they saw that Mo Shi still acted as if he didn't see it. This made Guiying even more unhappy. He directly said, "You can teleport too. Want to compete?" Mo Shi smiled and said, "No." Guiying saw that Mo Shi didn't dare to accept the challenge. As if he had won, he raised his head and left with satisfaction. Lu Shuming looked at Mo Shi. He saw that Mo Shi still didn't have a trace of anger. He secretly nodded in his heart. In the face of the other party's many challenges, he wasn't angry at all, but he wasn't afraid at all. He had a firm grasp of the situation. Next, the military formulated a detailed battle plan according to the map that Guiying had scouted. That evening, they set off into the wilderness. In the middle of the night, they had already uprooted the first stronghold. At dawn, they had already uprooted 2 strongholds. Then, they directly repaired them locally. In the next 2 nights, they uprooted 5 strongholds in a row. These bandits would hide in the wilderness every time they encountered a bandit suppression in the past. The military didn't know much about the wilderness, so they wouldn't enter at all. Therefore, they didn't set up any defenses around the strongholds, which was why so many strongholds were easily uprooted. Moreover, in the wilderness, there weren't as many people as in the city. In addition, the military acted at night. Before uprooting the strongholds, they used signal blocking devices. The signals within dozens of kilometers were blocked. Therefore, after the bandits in a stronghold were attacked, they couldn't contact other strongholds at all. That was why so many strongholds were uprooted in a row. At the same time, with so many strongholds uprooted, Gue Ying also became more and more arrogant. In his opinion, the reason why the military could be so successful was because of him. Soon, there were only 3 strongholds left. At this time, the bandits in these 3 strongholds had already realized that something was wrong. For 3 consecutive days, they couldn't contact other strongholds. At first, they thought that the signal in the wilderness was bad. After all, such a situation often happened in the past. However, not even a trace of signal in 3 days was something that had never happened before. They finally realized that something was wrong. Therefore, the 3 strongholds gathered. The total number of people reached more than 2,000. The bandit leader was a handsome young man named Shirmushwan. Not only did he have a handsome face, but he also had a scholarly aura. No one would associate him with the bandit leader. However, such a person was a bandit leader who burned, killed, robbed, committed all kinds of crimes, and killed people like scything flax. He stood on a huge rock and looked at the 2,000 bandits below. Just now, someone had reported that they had sent people to other strongholds. However, none of the people sent had returned. "Boss, what do we do at 2:00? "Boss, we have no way out." "Fight them." The surrounding bandits were all very agitated. Some were frightened, some were worried, and some were excited. The bandit leader Shirmushwan looked at the sky in the distance. A mass of dark clouds had already floated up from there. After a moment, he sighed for no reason. The rainy season is coming. Chapter 371. Shirmushwan, the leader of the bandits, did not think of any countermeasures in the face of a great enemy. Instead, he looked at the dark clouds that had just appeared in the distant sky. He sighed slowly. The rainy season is here. A bandit next to him asked doubtfully, "Boss, do you mean?" Shirmushwan continued with a sigh, "It's the season to spit again." The bandit next to him was speechless. Shirmushwan looked at it for a moment and said, "Let's move." The bandit next to him said doubtfully, "But boss, all our strongholds have been destroyed except for this one. Where can we move these 2,000 people?" Shirmushwan said, "The Thousand Leaves Valley." The bandit's expression changed immediately. "Boss," Shirmushwan looked away from the dark clouds in the sky and looked at the bandit. The bandit hurriedly took back his words halfway through his sentence. He lowered his head and said, "Yes, boss." Then he turned his head and looked at the bandits below. He said, "Move to the Thousand Leaves Valley." Upon hearing this, the expressions of the bandits all changed. They did not seem to believe that their boss would say such a thing. Everyone looked at the bandit leader, Shirmushwan, as if to verify the authenticity of his words. Shirmushwan looked at all the bandits and only said one sentence, "Follow me if you don't want to die." As he spoke, he leaped onto the giant rock and went into the depths of the forest. Although the rest of the bandits were terrified, they did not dare to disobey their boss since he had already spoken. They could only follow him quickly. Mosher followed the bandit suppression army to the last stronghold. However, he found that it was already empty. Everyone searched around, but they couldn't find a single bandit. "Sir, it seems that they have escaped," a division commander said. Lu Shuming frowned slightly. Their last 3 strongholds combined into one. There are about 2,000 people. And these 2,000 people are the main fighting force of the bandits. If we don't eliminate them, they will immediately recover once we leave. A division commander said, "Sir, why don't we send Phantom to investigate again and find their location before we go and eliminate them?" Lu Shuming pondered for a moment and nodded. "All right." Then, he summoned Ghostly Shadow once again. After assigning the mission, he reminded them. Their bandit leader, Shirmashuan, isn't easy to deal with. After you've investigated the situation, don't act blindly without thinking. Come back and report immediately. Guiying nodded. Understood, Sir Commander. Leave it to me. No problem. Then, he glanced at Mo Shi. But this time, the provocation was much less obvious. From his point of view, Mo Shi had already admitted defeat in front of him last time. Therefore, there was no longer any value in provoking him. In the next moment, his figure disappeared. This time, it only took him 2 hours to return to the camp. He reported the situation to Commander Lu Shuming. They fled into a valley in the depths of the wilderness. Then, a three-dimensional map of the valley was displayed. Commander Lu Shuming called a few division commanders over for a discussion. From the map, the terrain of this valley was not complicated. In the valley, there was nothing special except for a small river that was only 2 meters wide. If one had to point out something special, it would be the strange rocks on both sides of the valley. These rocks were basically spherical. It looked as if someone had specially pasted these hemispherical rocks on the stone walls on both sides of the valley thousands of years ago. However, these hemispherical rocks had been severely weathered and did not seem to be dangerous. After a discussion, a group of high-ranking military officials decided to continue the pursuit. So, everyone continued the pursuit. Not long after, it started to drizzle. The rain would affect the performance of the hoverboard shoes, so the military chose to walk. And Guiying had already gone to investigate again. Whether those bandits left the valley or found a place to hide in the valley, Guiying would know clearly. When the military arrived, they could directly formulate a battle plan based on Guiying's investigation. Therefore, they did not need to rush. So, everyone put away their hoverboard shoes and switched to walking. After another 2 hours, when they reached the entrance of the valley, the rain was getting heavier. Lu Shuming asked, "Is there a possibility of a flash flood here?" An expert next to him replied, "It hasn't rained yet. It just rained not long ago, so the possibility of a flash flood is very low. According to the map, there are no traces of a flash flood here before. Moreover, the bottom of the valley is hundreds of meters wide. Even if a flash flood really happens, the impact will not be great. And we still have the hoverboard shoes." Hearing this, Lu Shuming nodded. At this moment, Guiying had also returned. He opened the map, pointed to a crack in the valley, and said, "All the bandits have entered this crack." Lu Shuming gathered everyone again. After a short discussion, they formulated a battle plan. Lu Shuming reminded everyone, these 2,000 people have always been the main force of the bandits. Among them, there are more than 10 level 5 desolate hunters. There are 2 level 8 desolate hunters. And we can't rule out the possibility of them using the potion that increases their strength. So, everyone must be mentally prepared. Yes. Yes. Everyone responded. Lu Shuming turned to Mo Shi and said, "Brother, if another level 9 desolate hunter appears later, I'm afraid your earth puppet will have to fight." Mo Shi nodded. "No problem." Lu Shuming said, "They must have hidden sentries. Guiying, investigate their hidden sentries. Once you find them, assassinate them." Guiying chuckled and said, "It's fine." As he spoke, his figure flashed and disappeared. Mo Shi detected that when Guiying appeared, he was already behind a hidden sentry 5 kilometers away. His left hand covered the hidden sentry's mouth, and the genetic weapon on his right arm moved slightly, piercing into that person's body. At this moment, that person was unable to resist at all. Then, he flashed again, and a moment later, another hidden sentry was eliminated. In a short 5 minutes, more than 10 hidden sentries were eliminated. Although Mo Shi did not like this person's personality, he had to admit that he was quite good at assassinating people. Eliminating these hidden sentries was done cleanly without any sloppiness. After eliminating all the hidden sentries, the military began to move towards the center of the valley. At this moment, the rain was getting heavier. The river water had already reached the riverbank. However, no one cared. After all, the riverbank was a few hundred meters wide. Even if the river water was tens of times bigger, it would not affect them at all. After half an hour, they had reached the center of the valley. At this moment, the river water was getting bigger. The river water was a few meters wider. The murky river water was even murkier than the yellow river that Mosher had seen in his previous life. Chapter 372. The muddy river water was even more muddy than the yellow river that Mosher had seen in his previous life. However, no one cared. From their current position, they could see a huge crack on the stone wall on the left side of the valley. It was about 50 meters high. The crack was more than 5 meters wide and more than 30 meters high. According to the previous battle plan, they would first use a miniature drone to investigate. After determining the enemy's position, they would first attack with a flash bomb. After blinding these people, the soldiers would then charge in. At this moment, the keyboard player was controlling the miniature drone and flying into the cave. The miniature drone was only the size of a mosquito. There were no weapons on it, only 4 miniature pinhole cameras. It could capture the surrounding situation 360 degrees without any corners. Soon, the miniature drone had already flown into the cave. Soon, more than 20 bandits were found. The miniature drone continued to fly inside. The cave inside was very big. The inside of the big cave was like a huge square. Moreover, there were many holes of various sizes on the stone wall inside the cave. No one knew where these holes led to. Seeing this, Lu Shuming's brows were already furrowed. Once they rushed in, these bandits would only need to crawl into these holes, and it would be very difficult for them to catch them all in one go. After Mosher understood the situation, he already had an idea in his mind. He asked Lu Shuming, when the assassination team's sniper rifle determines the coordinates, can they also manually determine the coordinates? Lu Shuming nodded. The wormhole sniper rifle has 2 ways to determine the coordinates. The first is automatic marking. As long as the target is covered by the scope, the target will be automatically marked. The second is manual guidance. Let the teammates use the guidance device that comes with the wormhole sniper rifle to determine a mark on the target. This way, even if the sniper has no vision, he can still kill the target. Mosher nodded. That's easy. We can let Phantom teleport in, mark the bandit leader, and assassinate him. Then, we can use the same method to assassinate their higher-ups one by one. In this way, the bandits will either choose to surrender in panic or be killed by the sniper one by one. Lu Shuming nodded. Well, that's a good idea. Let's get Phantom here. Very quickly, Spirit Shadow was called out. However, when he heard Mosher's plan, he immediately exploded. You're sending me to my death. Every time I teleport, there's a cooldown of at least 3 seconds. How do you think I'm going to dodge the attacks of those bandits around me in these 3 seconds? Chief, I don't think this guy has any good intentions. Or maybe he's jealous of my ability and wants me to die. Hearing this, Lu Shuming shook his head and said, Mosher is not that kind of person. Mosher shook his head helplessly. So you can't do it. It seems that I have overestimated you. The ghostly figure glared at Mosher. You want to provoke me? I won't fall for it. You can do it? If you can really do it, I will kowtow to you on the spot. When Mosher heard this, he didn't do anything about it. He said to the sniper next to him, give me the homing device. Hearing this, the sniper asked, Brother Mo, you want to go in? This is too dangerous. Mosher said, just give it to me. The sniper's life was saved by Mosher, so he was thinking for Mosher. Seeing that Mosher was determined to go in, he couldn't stop him. He looked at Lu Shuming next to him. Lu Shuming asked Mosher, are you confident? Mosher smiled and said, not very confident, 90%. Lu Shuming was speechless. Everyone around was also speechless. The ghostly figure sneered, Tisk, 90%. Why don't you brag that it's 100%? Do you really think? Mo Shi ignored him and said to Lu Shuming, Commander Lu, pull out the cold explosive immediately. Then, he said to the sniper next to him, open the connector of the sniper rifle. After dropping the bomb, I will go in immediately. Seeing that Mo Shi was so determined, Lu Shuming didn't say anything else. Soon, he ordered someone to drop the bomb. The flash bomb had two functions. One type of grenade had a very strong lethality, and its lethality and lethality radius were much greater than that of an ordinary grenade. The other was a flash effect. When it exploded, it would form a strong light that could temporarily blind the enemy. Soon, more than 50 soldiers jumped to the entrance of the cave. They took out their flash bombs and threw them into the cave. However, just as the flash bombs were thrown into the cave, dozens of energy blasted out. Boom, 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 all the crossfire bombs exploded not long after they left the hands of the soldiers. These soldiers were immediately sent flying backward. They fell to the ground. Fortunately, every bombardier had a special protective gear. Although they were slightly injured, they wouldn't be killed by the flash bombs they threw. Several division commanders shook their heads. It seems that they were prepared. The ghostly figure next to him made a tisk sound again. You don't take your own life, but don't you take the lives of your comrades as well? Mo Shi ignored him and said to the sniper next to him, get ready to shoot. Seeing this, Lu Shuming quickly stopped him. There are no flash bombs. It's too dangerous for you to go in like this. However, before he could finish speaking, Mo Shi's figure had already disappeared. Seeing this, Lu Shuming and the others quickly looked at the screen in front of the keyboard player. On the screen, they saw Mo Shi's figure appear in the cave in an instant. The homing device in his hand was aimed at a high-ranking bandit. The sniper's reaction was also very fast. After the guide made a mark on the head of the high-ranking bandit, the cross in the scope of the sniper rifle suddenly turned red. Seeing this, the sniper quickly pulled the trigger. Bang! A loud sound was heard. After the bullet flew 5 meters out of the muzzle, it quickly turned into a blue and white outline and then disappeared. The next moment, on the screen, the head of the bandit exploded instantly. Blood splattered everywhere. The faces and bodies of the surrounding bandits were covered in blood. At this time, Mo Shi had already aimed the homing device at another bandit. Bang! Another loud sound was heard. The head of the bandit leader also exploded in an instant. It was not until now that the bandits finally reacted. Kill him! Someone roared. At the same time, several beams of energy were already attacking Mo Shi. Mo Shi's figure flashed, but he had already disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already behind the stone wall on the other side. The homing device was again aimed at another bandit. On the homing device, an invisible beam of light shot out and marked the body of a bandit. At the same time, Mo Shi's figure flashed again and he disappeared. Just as he disappeared, several bursts of energy were already heading towards him. At the same time, bang, the head of the bandit had already exploded. This scene caused everyone present to be dumbfounded. And the ghostly figure next to Mo Shi, who was extremely dissatisfied with him, also had a blank expression at this time. Could teleportation be done like this? Didn't it need a cooldown? Chapter 373. Mo Shi kept flashing in the cave. Every time he flashed, a high-ranking bandit would die. In fact, he had also tried to mark the bandit leader, Shi Mushuan. However, Shi Mushuan was very cunning. When he tried to mark Shi Mushuan would always dodge at the fastest speed. After all, Shi Mushuan was a level 8 desolate hunter. His speed was also very fast. Mo Shi did not persist. He would mark the bandit leader who was the closest and most convenient to him. This caused all the bandits in the cave to look extremely terrified. After all, no one knew if they would be the next one. Everyone outside the cave was very surprised. As far as they knew, although some people could teleport, teleportation required energy. Not to mention other things, just using the wormhole teleportation technology consumed a lot of energy. Otherwise, the wormhole teleportation device would not be so precious. But now, Mosher only stopped for a second every time he teleported. It was as if he could teleport infinitely. This kind of teleportation ability was simply too heaven-defying. As for Spirit Shadow, he was in a daze. He could not come back to his senses for a long time. As a desolate hunter with the talent of teleportation, he understood teleportation the best. He was the only one who knew how much energy and physical strength it took to teleport. He clearly knew that teleportation was really a physical activity. If he only had energy and did not have physical strength, he would not be able to do it. But now, Mosher was teleporting as if he was just playing. In his opinion, this was truly inconceivable. At least, he would never be able to reach this level in his lifetime. At the same time, he recalled that he had provoked Mosher several times before. Mosher did not respond. At that time, he had thought that Mosher was scared. Only now did he realize that Mosher was not a coward. It was because he did not care to be calculative with him. When he thought of this, he only felt a kind of feeling called shame floating in his heart. Outside the cave. Bang, 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 the loud sounds of sniper rifles could be heard continuously. Inside the cave. Bang, 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 the muffled sounds of heads exploding could be heard continuously. All the bandits were terrified. Seeing this, the bandit leader Shirmashwan immediately gave the order. Kill him. Hearing their boss's order, the group of bandits finally came to their senses. They all condensed their genetic weapons and pounced toward Mosher. However, Mosher's teleportation speed was extremely fast. Moreover, it was erratic and hard to grasp. No one could get close to Mosher. Seeing this, the group of bandits were surprised, but they also became ferocious. One after another, they condensed their energy weapons and bombarded Mosher. Mosher's figure flickered, appearing at the top of the cave in an instant. A cold smile appeared on Zhang Xian's face. Shua, something spilled out of his backpack. In the next moment, Mosher's figure disappeared. When the bandits in the cave saw the things that Mosher had sprinkled down, they all felt their scalps go numb. Those things turned out to be all flash bombs. There were hundreds of them. Boom, 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 boom. These hundreds of grenades directly exploded in the cave. The light of the fire filled the entire huge cave. The shockwave slammed all the people below level 5 desolate hunters hard against the wall, over and over again. At this time, Mosher had already teleported out of the cave. Everyone saw the scene in the cave through the screen, and all of them widened their eyes. After a while, someone patted Mosher on the shoulder. Brother, you're really something. Amazing. With an assaulter like you, wouldn't it be great to fight a battle? The ghost looked at Mosher and then at himself. Once again, he was too ashamed to show his face. The serious expression on Lu Shuming's face also lessened a little. At this time, in the cave, corpses were strewn everywhere. Broken limbs and mutilated bodies. It was a mess. Just a few hundred flash bombs had directly eliminated 80% of the bandits. This was simply impossible in the past. After all, bandits who had reached the level of desolate hunters could use energy to detonate flash bombs in advance. Flash bombs could not cause any substantial damage to them at all. But this time, because the flash bombs came so quickly and directly, it was like a rain of bullets falling from the sky. They were completely defenseless. The bandit leader Shirmashwan's eyes were also temporarily blinded by the flashes. He roared, "Everyone, retreat into the surrounding passageways." After that, he touched the stone wall on the right and fled into the depths of the passageway. The remaining 400 or so bandits who could still move also touched the stone wall and fled into the surrounding small caves. Outside the cave, Lu Shuming saw this and was about to order everyone to kill their way into the cave and eliminate the bandits. But at this moment, in the direction of the river in front of them, there was a sudden rumbling sound. Rumble, rumble, it sounded like thousands of horses galloping. The psychic grandmaster in the army scanned with his psychic power, and his expression changed slightly. He said to Lu Shuming, "Chief, the cave has exploded. Quick, let the soldiers activate their flying skateboards and fly to the mountains on both sides." Lu Shuming glanced at the huge crack not far away and asked, "Can it flood that far?" The psychic grandmaster nodded. "Yes." Everyone's expression changed when they heard this. Such a small river could erupt with a flood that was hundreds of meters high. This was really too strange. But at this moment, there was no time to dwell on it. Lu Shuming immediately ordered, "Everyone, retreat to the mountains on both sides." At this time, the rain was getting heavier, and the performance of the flying skateboards was far worse than usual. Their speed was greatly reduced, and their flying stability was also greatly reduced. If they did not avoid it in advance, they might be washed away by the mountain flood. With the strength of these soldiers, a mere mountain flood could not kill them at all. But after all, it was not a good thing, so they should avoid it as much as possible. So these 2,000 soldiers activated their flying skateboards and flew shakily to the mountains on both sides. Just less than 2 minutes after everyone had retreated to the mountains. Rumble, rumble, everyone could already see the wave. A wave that was more than 100 meters high. That desolate hunter was not exaggerating at all. The wave that was more than 100 meters high rumbled through the valley like a tsunami. It was like a berserk beast, swallowing everything in the cave. Crack, crack, all the trees were broken under the mountain flood. Even the rocks that rolled down from the valley were being pushed forward by the force of the impact. The group of soldiers could be considered as people who had seen big scenes before. But at this time, when they saw the mountain flood, they were all secretly shocked. No one had seen such a violent mountain flood. Soon, the mountain flood flooded the huge crack from before. Shirmashuan was secretly glad that he did not send the soldiers in just now. Otherwise, this battle would have been very difficult for him. However, his rejoicing did not last long. Soon, his expression changed. Because the rocks on both sides of the valley moved, you're tuning into the Carefree Valley YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.